Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is part 2 of What If Hinata was a Yandere for Naruto. If you guys enjoy this what if, then comment, like and subscribe. Let's go. Also the video goal is 10 likes, so let me know that you're interested in the series and you want the next part. Then go ahead and check out the other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave. Also share the video with your friends and link in the description. So let's go. Hinata to Zuna's house, Southeast Woods. Where are Sasuke and Naruto? Hinata asks softly over breakfast. Inari and Tsunami shrug in uncertainty, the sun just now thinly starting to break through the clouds outside. A heavy fog and rain rolled in overnight, most of the forests and buildings still blanketed in gray. Neither note the edge in her voice. Kakashi peers up from his makeout series, takes in her clipped smile, that haze in her eyes. They most likely got up early to get a head start on finishing up the tree climbing exercise. He assumes. Hinata nods, grabs a mix of onigiri and fruit to put into her bag. I'll go check on them then, they probably haven't eaten anything yet since last night. She sees a streak of blue and black approaching amid the greenery as she moves for the forest. Sasuke. Why's he alone? Her stomach lurches, nails digging into her palm. Sasuke peers up at hearing her, Hinata picking up her pace. It's always awkward having to talk to Sasuke without Naruto being the bridge, the glue between them to actually get a conversation going. A sliver of amusement edges at her lips, taking in grass stains and twigs to his clothes and hair, scratch marks dotting his arms in thin slits of reds. The top student of their class is having difficulty with something for once before she shakes the thought away. He's not like Neji, stop it. They've probably been practicing for at least an hour or more based on his current appearance. Hinata guesses, fidgets at his silence before pulling out an onigiri from her bag. Morning. Where's Naruto? Sasuke accepts the meal, gestures with his head behind them. Idiot insisted on wanting to try and practice more jutsu on his own for 30 minutes more just after we made it to the top of the trees. Did something come up at Zuna's house? Hinata's brows furrow, grin vanishing. No. Do you assume that's the only reason I came out here? Sasuke shrugs. It wasn't to check on me. Hinata purses her lips at his bluntness, nods in return. True enough. But I don't want either of you pushing yourselves too hard. You're both powerhouses and already pretty much got the hang of chakra control. You'll both improve in that area and more as we continue to go on missions. Sasuke blows out a breath. Yeah. Anyways, Naruto looked halfway asleep when I left them there, so it's good you came along. Thanks again for the food. Be careful on the way back, I set traps around Zuna's house in case any of Gato's men approach. That explains why she came back in so late. He considers, recalls the faint smell of metal and dirt near her futon as he and Naruto passed her on the way out to finish the tree climbing exercise. Sasuke nods, carries on back to Zuna's house before she can say anything else. Hinata turns to follow the path he came from, his footprints still lingering in the grass and mud. She hears light chatter just as Naruto comes into view, resting in a field, across from him the same woman from the day before. The one who knew she was watching her. Goosebumps instantly rush against her arms, gaze sharpening on her for anything hidden beneath her sleeves. She's picking medicinal herbs again, maybe as the family member of someone who tried to go against one of Gato's men. What does she want with Naruto? Naruto, there you are. Hinata purrs out, getting both of their attentions. Naruto brightens at her arrival, seeing the snacks she's brought along, Hinata sliding herself into his lap without care to his puzzlement before adjusting himself to keep her from slipping off. Pearl eyes dart back to the woman, smile thinning. Who's this? A wave civilian, or someone else? Naruto scratches at his cheek. Oh, this is, actually, I don't think I learned your name. The woman shakes her head. Hiku. Though my name isn't really important. You must be Hinata, Naruto was just telling me you're someone important to him. Hinata studies her flatly. I know that I am. You're not from around here, are you? Hiku shrugs, avoiding her eyes. No, just passing through really. You're both shinobi, right? Assigned to try and break Gato's rule over this region. The pair nod, Haku's grin softening. Doesn't matter how many places I go to, it's always a variation of the same story. All shinobi are treated as tools, weapons to be used in skirmishes and then put away until the next fight or war breaks out. Naruto stiffens at that. Hey, That's not all shinobi, do you know, we're here after all to bring peace back to Wave. And sometimes shinobi are used to track down escaped criminals, spy on illegal drug deals, or rescue a kidnapped person. Haku hums, gazes down at the mix of herbs he's already picked. I need to get going back to Zabuza, his bruises and cuts haven't fully healed yet. Quote. True enough. I guess I sometimes forget we're human too at the end of the day. Have likes, dislikes and hobbies. Naruto nods along brightly. I'm sure being a girl too and all that you wouldn't have trouble with those espionage seduction missions. Hinata harshly pokes at a bruise by his shoulder, wincing. What? I'm trying to be polite, you know. You said that I needed to work on that. Haku's snickering stops Hinata from answering, auburn eyes roaming between them both. That probably wouldn't work out too well for me considering I'm a guy. Naruto gapes, paling in horror at his error while Hinata blinks. So, you're not ugly, I guess. I'm pretty sure you could still take on assignments of that nature. Your looks and body could confuse both men and women into spilling secrets. Haku straightens to a standing position as her barbed compliment sinks in, Hinata's eyes tracking him. Thank you, I think. Hinata nods, opalescent skimming his basket. I hope that turmeric, feverfew, and rosemary help your sick patient or family member. They're all good, I've heard, for helping with inflammation, fevers, and wound care. Haku glances back at her over his shoulder. Despite her snappy tone, her fingers twitch at her sides in rising nervousness of why he's really hanging around Wave. Suspicion heightened that he works for Gato or someone with close ties to him. She walked around the village yesterday and the day before with Tazuna, has a relatively good understanding based on people's behaviors and goings about of who works for Gato and who is considered beneath him. He forces a light smile. I hope so too. Zabuza is awake when he returns back to the small shed they've called home these last few days, hears shuffling about. You're up. Haku beams as he steps inside. He sets his basket down, moves to his side as he starts to get out of bed. Zabuza pushes him back just slightly, shakes his head even when he points to his untouched cups of teas for his ongoing headaches, nausea, and dizziness. I'm fine, it's time we kill Tazuna. Tell me what you've learned about the Sharingan. Haku settles against the side of his bed. From my observations of Naruto and Sasuke's training in the woods, the Sharingan allows its user to copy their opponent's ability and anticipate their next move. You would need to impede their vision or yours in order to prevent its full effect on you. Zabuza rubs at his chin, grunts a confirmation as he starts to stand. We've delayed this long enough and Gato has grown impatient. I'm sick of his complaining or sending a lackey out here every day to check on me. Haku's grin falls for a second before agreeing. When Zabuza adjusts on his shoes, eyes his sword leaning against the wall closest to the door. Now, or at least before the day is over. He passes Haku his mask at the end of the bed, grin forming. Get ready. I'm going to need you, knowing Tazuna is going to be surrounded by those kids and Kakashi. Everything in the forest just an hour earlier means nothing now. He must be a weapon once again. Haku nods, accepting the cover. All right. Tazuna's house, Sasuke and Kakashi. A groan comes from the side of Tazuna's house. The side that faces the woods and beyond that, the docks. Sasuke pauses, listens for the sound to come again. He steps carefully along the muddy path, noting where Hinata said the traps would be, stops himself at seeing where the ground has completely crumpled apart just ahead. The grunt comes again, louder than before. Waraji, can you still hear me? One of them croaks out. Sasuke peers into the darkness of the hole, sunlight managing to crack through enough until he's able to make out Zori and Waraji's bodies. His heartbeat rises in tempo, taking in the grisly scene, little he ate of breakfast growing bitter in the back of his throat. They've fallen into a spike pit. Kunai burrow into their flesh, limbs twisted in warped angles pinned under rock and branches. Waraji's body is slumped back against the side, chest pinned down by a stone larger than them both. Blood slides out from the gash to his head, wraps around his tattoos like a ribbon, forming a scarlet trail that runs down near his hands. Sasuke looks closer. Opposite his body, under the greenery of the pine needles and moss, rock and metal shards embedded in Zori's skin. He grinds his teeth loudly from the mix of pressure and pain, grunting at his efforts to move. Until he looks up. Zori releases a gasp of air that comes out more like a gurgle. You don't just fucking stand there. Help us out. Sasuke eyes their swords, the rope they brought along now tangled under a thicket of bush. You two are a part of Gato's organization. Zori snorts at the derision lingering in his tone. So what? Gotta earn Ryo somehow. Besides, he's the perfect guy to work under knowing how much of the waters he owns around these parts. He attempts to shift his body to stand, spasm shooting across his body like a flare. He swallows back a scream as more sunlight funnels into the hole, allowing him to see the true extent of damage to his right leg. It's buried beneath an avalanche of rocks and forest debris, straining only making the injury worsen. And slowly, his leg begins to swell in color from red to violet, blood soaking from the end of his jacket to his pants as he thrashes about. Sakura's torn ankle flashes to mind and Sasuke blinks, pushes the memory down as he looks away. I'm not going to help, not when you two were about to harm Tsunami and Inari. Sasuke mutters with a finality that makes Zori curse him again. He's lost too much blood anyways, dark eyes growing wild with panic as the ground shifts around him, set to bury him further, hands clawing at the sides of pit against the downward pull of death. The last thing he notes of Zori is his skin paling to white, sweat beading his face as his fidgeting slows. Breath slows. Sasuke moves and heads in through the back entrance, kitchen and living room. Empty. Kakashi-sensei. Inari. Tsunami. Are you here? We're by the front door. Kakashi calls back. He activates his Sharingan to be sure there's nobody else hiding in the shadows, makes his way over. Kakashi looks him over, shoulders relaxing at seeing he's uninjured. Inari and Tsunami sigh in relief, Sasuke noting the heaviness in their eyes. Inari wipes at his eyes, sensing his stare. I fell asleep right after lunch but heard a loud boom that jolted me up. Tsunami nods as well. I thought it was a possible earthquake despite us rarely getting those around these parts. I'm thankful you're unharmed, Sasuke. How did they nearly sleep through that? But then Hinata had been the one who helped Tsunami in the kitchen, had been the one to bring up Inari's bento to his room. Drugging mother and son so neither would witness the aftermath of death again or be harmed. Tsunami passes him a warm cloth before he can dwell any longer on the trap, wipes at grime and sweat. She stops seeing Sasuke's strained expression, pulls back. Oh, sorry. Motherly instinct just took over briefly there. Warmth unfurls in his chest too late for him to ignore, almost wishes he had delayed himself in coming back to the house. He should have steeled himself better. Being surrounded by Tezuna's family has brought up that familiar pull again, that longing for his own lost family. Tsunami slips into her room, comes back a moment later with a pouch. First aid on the go pouch. Just in case you or one of your teammates needs to clean a burn or wound. All of you please be safe. There's nothing cowardly about stepping back if you need to. Kakashi thankfully clears his throat before he can fumble up an answer. I'm overall back to 100% now, meaning Zabuza is too. Sasuke stiffens. So he's still alive then, along with that masked guy. And sending Zori and Waraji here was most likely to be as distractions to keep us occupied from what's going on at the docks. Kakashi follows his gaze back outside. They need to get going. Now. That's where Tezuna and some of the other construction workers are. Not to mention Naruto and Hinata may have gone there already to be of help. Are those two guys dead? Inari asks, breaking the quiet of the room before they leave. Tsunami gives him a scolding look. Inari pretends not to see, gaze locked on Sasuke alone. Did you see them die? He repeats the question in a different way, obsidian eyes heated. Sasuke nods. Yes. One was still alive, but on the verge of death. He expects Inari to shout or cry in joy that at least one burden has been taken care of, breathing to relax. Though if anything, he's ignited a fire in him that he plans to most likely spread to the rest of the wave's civilians. It's time to fight back. A smile blooms at his lips. Good. Naruto and Hinata, Sasuke and Kakashi land of wave, docks. Everyone here is in danger. Hinata swallows. Her mind flits between the woods and now the docks. How easily this day has changed. We need to check on Inari and Tsunami once we're back at Tezuna's house. Hinata purses her lips. It's been unusually quiet around Tezuna's residence and his co-workers, a shift in the air. Gato's men have been planning something, tucked away into the shadows only temporarily before they unleash a new surge of terror and destruction. She helps Naruto up to a standing position, his grin only calming her nerves just a fraction. They head back up the trail, Naruto squeezing at their still intertwined hands. I don't think there's cause to be too concerned, Hinata. You placed down those traps, plus Kakashi-sensei is there with them too. Naruto cuts himself off seeing a figure running towards them. He considers for a moment if it's Sasuke or Haku rushing over to warn them to go another route, only to see it's a wave civilian. His hard hat clangs against his side, cheeks flushed. And now this close up they can see the spattering of blood against his overalls mixed with the sea spray of the waters, haunted look as he wipes at his face. Come quick. We need your help at the docks. I don't think Tazuna and the others can hold those guys off for much longer. He grabs at Naruto's hand, inevitably pulling Hinata along too. It's this way, hurry. Tazuna shouts over the cacophony of noise, forcing her to focus on the here and now. Gato's men circle them, variations of knives, whips, ropes, and blades in each of their hands. Stay behind us, Tazuna. Naruto shouts, draws up his hands. Wind release. Typhoon. Hinata feeds into the growing swirl. Lightning release. Current burst. A gale of wind, water, and electricity knocks away a majority of Gato's men, but Zabuza and his clone blend easily with the sliding waters, avoiding the brunt of the blast. Impressive kiddos. But not enough to stop me. He points his blade forward for them, water clones sliding forward to hold them in place. Haku abruptly hops down between them just before his sword can slice, holds up a hand. Master. Forgive me for interrupting, but I can deal with them. You must handle Kakashi. He nods ahead, seeing Kakashi and Sasuke's approach, Zabuza chuckling as he turns his sword to them. Perfect. I did want to have a rematch with Kakashi after all. As soon as Zabuza steps away out of range does Haku turn back towards the two. You two. I'm ending this fight between us once and for all. Fight. But this is our first time properly going against each other, isn't it? Still, Hinata straightens in preparation, seeing Naruto get into an offensive stance. Crystal mirrors rise up around them, a fortress of ice. Sasuke, you'll need to stay with Tazuna to protect him. Kakashi orders. His tone leaves little to no room for him to refute his command, even though they can both see Naruto and Hinata just meters ahead before they become shrouded by ice. But what if Naruto and Hinata need my help? Sasuke argues, levels his voice to tamper his frustration. Kakashi's eyes narrow as he shifts his mask. Sharingan swirls to life, matching his own. Remember why we're here, Sasuke. We escorted Tazuna back to Wave safely and must continue to keep him safe until all threats to his life are eliminated. Eliminated. Killed. Whichever comes first. Sasuke balls his hands at his side, catches Tazuna's worried look from the corner of his eye. His lips are downturned, weighted with fear, and slowly, he unwinds his hands, pulls out a kunai. Okay. Sasuke confirms. Zabuza rolls his neck as Kakashi approaches, eyes gleaming. About time you showed up. I've been counting down the days waiting for this moment to have us truly put our skills to the test. The bounty I'll get for taking your head will allow me to overthrow all of Kurigaka's top officials. Kakashi watches him carefully as Zabuza coats the area in a thicker mist than their last fight. This time I won't allow that Sharingan to get the best of me. He shuts his eyes. He follows him by sound, the brush of his arms against his vest's sides, the intake of breath. There. Zabuza swings Kubikiribocho to the right. Kakashi grunts in pain, and he doesn't need to look to know he's landed on his target. A coppery aroma coats the air and Zabuza smirks, breathes in the familiar metallic scent. It's been too long since blood has fully splashed his sword, even if it means having to swing twice to finish the job. Any last words, Kakashi? Zabuza questions. Kakashi slides his thumb against the center of his gash, chuckles. No, just that my Ninken will find us faster now by sniffing out this blood. He smears the ground. Summoning. Zabuza hears the growls before he can move his sword, teeth burrowing into his flesh from all sides. The pain quickly turns burning, akin to flames on his skin, opens his eyes to see the crackle of lightning in Kakashi's hand. His Ninken's teeth sink in further the more he tries to struggle, paralyzed in place. An explosion of heat shakes the ground where Haku went, barely can turn his head to look in said direction as Kakashi's hand moves in for him. What's going on over there? But the lightning is too close now to dwell on it, heat singeing his skin as he meets Kakashi's eyes for the final time, mind slipping from this match where he's been bested instead to the boy he took in so many years ago. Haku, are you about to die too? Naruto and Hinata ice dome. He's moving too fast. I can see his chakra signature, though there's no way I can land a good hit on him. Hinata tracks Haku, rotation spinning away his needles once more. More of them are landing with each leap he does into a new mirror, blood spilling into mini puddles at both her and Naruto's feet. Her hands brush at the closest mirror. Fire release, blaze palm. The ice doesn't even start to melt from her heated fingertips, sighing. Nothing is working. Her muscles are starting to ache, strain with rising fatigue. A headache starts to throb at the back of her head, pulses when she turns her head too fast right as another Senbon needle pierces at her shoulder. Naruto grits his teeth as he pulls out a half-dozen needles from his arms. No amount of wind, water, fire, or lightning ninjutsu has even formed a crack in this ice. He outspeeds both her and Naruto, TSKS at them still standing. Neither of you are going to last this match, forfeit and also some leniency before both of you die. He gives a final warning. Hinata turns to Naruto, stomach churning. He's right. However, perhaps we both don't need to die in here. Haku moves to an ice mirror behind them. Right in the Byakugan's blind spot. She pushes Naruto out of the way, needle slicing into the back of her neck. White-hot pain sears down, blooms out across her chest. More needles jab and pierce, taste of iron hitting her tongue. I've lost too much blood. Her body trembles, glances to her hands, stomach coiling further, seeing the tips of her fingers are a chalky white. Hinata, stay awake. Naruto shakes at her shoulders as she drops to the ground, pulls out needles stuck all over her body. She smiles at the effort, halts him midway in pulling out a needle in her left arm by patting at his cheek. However cold her fingers are makes him stiffen, blue of his eyes darkening, reminding her of storms. Of destruction. It's okay Naruto, really. You know I love you, right? That's why I did it. Hinata puffs out. She fights against the pull of sleep calling her, vision growing hazy. Naruto rubs at her hands to give her warmth, tears rising up when she doesn't squeeze them back. Don't die Hinata, please. Hinata leans her head in towards him, darkness tugging at her harder. She shakes her head just enough to clear it some, crane her lips to his ear. Though her eyes stay on Haku as she whispers her last wish. If I die here Naruto, then kill my murderer. Her body slumps against his chest before she can say anything more. Naruto roughly shakes her twice as hard even as Hinata's body further pales, eyes closing. Haku moves out of the mirror to his right. You two shouldn't have come here and now she's paid the price with her life. A vortex spins out around Naruto as he lays Hinata's body down and Haku steps back as this new volatile chakra seeps into the area. The mirrors closest to him begin to crack then burst. Crystal shards raining down. What's happening to him? Where is this chakra coming from? Haku moves for a new mirror, Naruto grabbing him by the leg before he can reach it. He slams his body down into concrete, crack of bone and cement ringing out, hands wrapping at his neck before he can make any attempt move. Haku moves his hands up to aim for his eyes, Naruto twisting them back until he hears them snap too. What did you do to her? He roars. Haku tries to slosh out a reply, voice drowned out by his growls. This isn't Naruto anymore, something inhuman shining in his eyes, fury pouring into the dome. Naruto's nails rip into his neck in a frenzy, shred and claw at muscle and arteries enough to expose bone. Distantly, Haku hears the crinkling of lightning, turns his neck just slightly to see Zabuza falling to the ground, Kakashi hovering over him. No, I have to protect Zabuza. His fingers twitch for their direction, can't even get himself to kick his legs up to get away. Frustrated tears build at the edge of his eyes, mask slipping off. And Naruto freezes in recognition, rage abruptly ceasing. Wait, you're that guy from the forest. Haku nods slowly, half smiles. He manages to move one finger up in Hinata's direction. She isn't dead. The rest of his energy he uses to push his body towards Zabuza, head lolling from the effort. He holds a hand to his neck, too much blood leaking out for him to stop. His vision clouds, everything around him spinning the more he tries to move. He shoots out a hand Zabuza's way in vain, darkness swimming up. I'm sorry Zabuza. I think I'm going to be too late to protect you. Sasuke and Tazuna Ice Dome. We can get a bit closer if you want, I'll go with you. Tazuna promises. He hates watching Sasuke practically hop from foot to foot impatiently, his Sharingan not as perfected as Kakashi's to put it to use from this distance. Sasuke readily agrees gratefully, pair moving for Naruto and Hinata first. The mist begins to recede, ice mirrors crumpling down crunching at their feet. Two bodies lay in the aftermath, Naruto cradling Hinata's. Tazuna gapes at Haku's decimated body, neck and torso area shredded to pieces before looking away. Not even Kaiza had such a brutal death, warily looks over at Naruto wondering what came over him to cause such violence. He said she wasn't dead, though she still hasn't woken up fully yet. Naruto mutters more to himself more than them. Hinata stirs in his arms as Naruto shifts her head against his neck. Blue to lilac meat, Hinata cracking a weak smile. I'm alive. Sorry for worrying you, she rasps out. Naruto shakes his head, voice too dry to speak as Hinata drifts off again, only asleep now. Shock and confusion swirl about Sasuke, rushing forward to properly assess them. He helps pull out the remaining Senbon needles in them, fishes out the packet of gauze and topical cream Tsunami luckily told him to bring along. What happened? He questions. Naruto shrugs, looks down. Haku's ice mirrors were inescapable. At least we thought that until I got angry. Sasuke peers at Naruto again, taking in remnants of sanguine in his eyes. The lingering signs of the monster he became. And can become again. Team 7 and Kakashi land of waves, docks. We still have company. Kakashi frowns. Gato and his remaining men begin to circle them like crows, Gato clacking his cane down, taking in Zabuza and Haku's fallen bodies. He scoffs, steps aside to avoid a trail of blood staining his shoes, pokes his cane at Zabuza's corpse with a low chuckle. Huh, these two didn't last all that long for being some of my best recruits. No matter, that's why I always have backups. Gato beams, gestures to the vagabonds and thieves who have been traveling with him these last few months, awaiting his command. I heard one of them put holes in Waraji and Zori. So let's do the same to all of them. One man yells out on Gato's left. Naruto grits his teeth, holds Hinata closer against his chest. Kakashi has exhausted a good chunk of his chakra, though still seems like he can manage to at least bide them some more time. Sasuke's Sharingan spins to life, rises up, two kunai at ready. A whistle screeches from behind the group, everyone turning to see Inari and the rest of Wave's citizens. He points a naginata forward. Charge! Panic instantly surges through the crowd as makeshift swords, hammers, axes, saws, tanto blades, and spears push them backwards for the sea. Inari on top of Tazuna's shoulders targets Gato unprotected now, slices his blade across his arms. He grins at his shock as crimson blooms out across his suit, close enough to hear his breath come in pants, sweat building along his face and cheeks. Tazuna beams. That was for Kaiza. Gato steps back, eyes rapidly searching for any gaps amid the horde, teeth clenching at the waves looming closer behind him. See, come on Tazuna. We can cut a deal. I'll give and pay you all back everything I took plus an additional, he starts. No. The time for talk ended when you killed my son-in-law and casted this blanket of fear and poverty in these lands. Tazuna interrupts. Gato shudders, attempts to twist out of range, seeing the gleam of Inari's spear coming again, blade stabbing cleanly through his chest before he can run. Inari digs it in before finally letting go of the handle, Tazuna balancing him as he looks Gato in the eye a final time. Die. For everything you did to us all. Blood erupts from Gato's mouth, gasps peering down at the wound. His vision blurs, hands shaking trying to pull at the weapon to no avail. He steps back again before they can do anything else, scent of sea salt hitting his nose too late to avoid now as he tumbles backwards, body sinking into the waves. Inari releases a breath as Tazuna lowers him back to the ground, swipes at a rise of tears. His legs feel like jelly, taking in spots of red on the cement where Gato just stood moments before. It's finally done. Tazuna pats at his shoulders proudly. It's over now, right? Inari murmurs. Tazuna nods. It's over. You helped bring the cavalry here, Inari, so hold your head up high. Inari straightens in agreement, takes in as sunlight breaks through the mist, highlights the green-blue of the waves. Seagulls and skimmers flock in from the south in bundles of white, hover over the waters to catch fish. Two birds he feels like he hasn't seen in months. Cheers wash across the area as the rest of Gato's men make a hurried retreat, jump for the waters or run for the forests, then risk sharing how he met his end. Tazuna turns his attention to Kakashi and Team 7 as Tsunami rushes to hug them both. Kakashi nods in return with a short wave. Mission complete. X. Team 7 Great Naruto Bridge, Land of Waves. Naruto is a perfect name tilde. Hinata smiles at all the progress done to the bridge in just a week's time. Zabuza and Haku have been buried in a field near the bridge, their sword and obi respectively marking their gravesites. The fewer people who know about this gravesite, the better I say. Though they caused us harm working with Gato, they themselves were just victims of the shinobi system. Tazuna regards. Someday, she and Naruto will come back to visit here. Perhaps bring their future children too so they can learn about their first true assignment out of Konoha. Tazuna chuckles. Well, I figured you would like that name Hinata. Though I'm curious if your teammates and sensei have any other suggestions. Hinata glances to Kakashi and Sasuke, pair double-checking their backpacks to get ready to head back home before waving it off. Oh, they don't care, Naruto it is. Naruto marvels at steel beams that get carried around them, wooden planks towering up. Hinata grabs at his hand getting his attention, points over to where his name will be soon enough. Hey, I'm really making a name for myself, huh? When I'm Hokage, both small and large nations are going to know who I am, you know. Hinata smiles. Of course, though there's no need to rush it, we still need to get stronger. Tazuna takes in Naruto's excitement, nods to Inari watching from the side. Now's the best time to get your goodbyes in before they head out. Inari flusters, steps forward for the pair, bowing. Thank you all for your help protecting my grandfather, mom, and everyone here. It's given me a boost of courage to honor my dad's legacy and not back down from any bullies. Don't cry. Don't cry. You went over this speech like 100 times last night. Inari feels his mouth dry, words escaping him. Naruto ruffles with his hair, Hinata crouching to eye level. Become a great builder like your granddad. Hopefully, you won't need to kill again, but you'll know what to do now to protect your family and any future lover. Huh, interesting advice. Kakashi eavesdrops. Sasuke stiffens at hearing it too before relaxing, chooses to not comment as well. Inari reddens, nods as he digs something out of his pocket. A seashell, white with dark orange hues along the spiral. Inari snickers as Hinata happily bows her thanks. She'll put it on her dresser back at home to form a growing collection of reminders of places she's traveled to from here on out either for assignments or vacation. Reminds you a bit of a certain someone, right? He teases lightly. Hinata laughs as she adds it to her bag, adjusts it on. Yes, you know me so well now. Konoha, Hokage's office. Jiraiya and Hiruzen. Welcome back Jiraiya, my wayward student. Hiruzen greets him. Jiraiya yawns in return, stretches with a drowsy grin. Yup, not much has changed around here since my arriving in last night. What's with all this paperwork? He gestures to sets of color-coded files, stacks of white surrounding his desk and beside him on the floor. Hiruzen restrains a sigh, rubs at his head. Did he even read my letter? He probably burned and tossed it somewhere in the surrounding forests after looking over it once. I went over this in my message, didn't I? Konoha is hosting this year's Chunin exams, and these are all the applicants from each region. A majority of them are set to start arriving in today and tomorrow. I'm just missing Konoha's applicants, but I should be getting those in before the end of the week deadline. Jiraiya nods, leans forward with mild interest skimming Konoha's potential candidates for this year. Stops on Naruto Uzumaki. Minato and Kushina's son is entering. He asks quietly in mild surprise even though he soundproofed these rooms once he came in. Hiruzen hums, picks up his pipe. Maybe. If Kakashi feels he and his team are ready. They had some hiccups when they were first formed, but I believe those have been ironed out now. They're set to reach here tomorrow afternoon from a successful mission in the Land of Waves from an update I received earlier. Jiraiya arches a brow at everything his former sensei isn't saying. What type of hiccups? Hiruzen takes a drag from his pipe, nods to the name above Naruto and Sasuke's. Hinata Hyuga. A Hyuga with the Jinchuriki and last Uchiha. That's different, though it doesn't explain Sarutobi's odd reaction. She's Hiashi Hyuga's eldest daughter. I've heard the rumors and seen for myself at times in my walks around the village how harsh he could be with her, and I think it finally made her snap, to put it mildly. But there's been no complaints since she switched from Team 8 to 7. Jiraiya picks up her file, scans it curiously before setting it down. Why'd you let her get away with all this? Ryo shouldn't be enough to make things like stabbing a teacher or attempting to blackmail her former sensei disappear. Is it because Asuma is your son? Hiruzen coughs, tips of his ears getting hot. Neither he or Kurenai wanted to take it any further as the photos never got released to the public as far as I'm aware. Haruka said since it wasn't a permanent injury and with no prior bad behavior from Hinata, to just let her graduate and move on. If you're planning to interact with Naruto in any form or fashion, just keep in mind Hinata will be interested too. Jiraiya rolls his eyes, smirks. Good thing I'm an open book with no secrets to hide, huh sensei? Hiruzen shakes his head, even if he's a fan of his makeout series too. It isn't something to be proud of. Jiraiya shrugs as he gets to standing. I'm proud of my perverseness and should be as well sensei. Don't you remember in my days of youth how you taught me too? Hiruzen waves him away. Get going already, I have a meeting in 10 minutes. And don't forget to keep me posted on any updates you hear regarding visitors coming in. It's going to be a highly trafficked event with all the potential participants. Safety takes top priority for the guests and shinobi alike. Jiraiya waves up a hand as he leaves, gazes up. It's late afternoon now, telling by the sun's position, rays of yellow shining across the pavements and rooftops. Good thing the red light district is always open. He smiles to himself, heads off in that direction to get updates Hiruzen would know less about. Haruka and Kakashi, Team 7 Konoha Academy, Tengakawa Village. I'd like to test their skills if that's okay with you. Haruka starts. Kakashi shrugs. Sure. However, I think based on how they were during our Land of Waves mission, that they're more than ready for the Chunin exams. Haruka sets a folder down in front of him. Still, individually I just want to see for myself how they are in a true C-rank assignment. Kakashi reads over the details. The villagers of Tengakawa village have reported eerie lights, howling winds, and disappearing animals and crops near their shrine in the northeast woods. We would like a team to come out to investigate the shrine, the cause of the disturbances, and neutralize the intruders' threats, if any. Tengakawa village is only about a 30 to 45-minute walk from here. They could get this done any afternoon coming up before their applications are due. Haruka reasons. Kakashi looks it over once more before agreeing. Alright, I'll let them know. Amber light filters in through the trees, sky awash in golds and violets at dusk's approach. So, is this really place haunted? Naruto asks aloud as they reach the final turn that will lead into the Tengakawa. The rivers nearby crackle quietly, crystal waters changing to green the deeper they trek in, tree branches soon leaning over them blocking their view. Sasuke sighs, dark eyes narrowing on him. He's been full of questions all day since they agreed to this hopefully quick task. We don't know moron, that's why we've been assigned to investigate. Why does it matter anyways? Are you scared? Naruto instantly bristles at Sasuke's amused look. No. But don't go freaking out on Hinata and I if you get spooked, you know. Hinata quietly ignores them both, used to tuning out their mini squabbles. Only in the evening and night are these voices and apparitions apparently heard. She frowns. Sasuke taps at her shoulder bringing her out of my thoughts, hands her a water bottle. We might need your Byakugan, so best to stay hydrated. Hinata nods, points at his eyes. Your Sharingan will probably be useful too. Naruto gestures at himself next, Hinata grinning. We'll need your strength and stamina as well Naruto. Kakashi-sensei didn't come along with them either strangely, stated this was a matter they could handle themselves in one day. The village elder greets them graciously with dinner before pointing to an overgrown trail. That path leads up to Hoshihana Jinja, Starflower Shrine. Normally, the path is well lit by its namesake via the flowers and the moon, but as of late everything has gone black and dead around the trail. We're not sure if it's some kids trying to mess with us or something more malicious going on. He explains. He passes Naruto a scroll. Please use this to seal whatever this is going on. Be it person, animal, or spirit. As soon as the moon rises, they set out, lanterns guiding them along the trail. He's right, the grass around here seems to have been burned. Sasuke notes, grass blackened at their feet. A rustle comes from the leaves to his right, turns his lantern as he steps closer for a better look. Itachi's figure gazes back at him, skin casted in yellows and grays. Him alongside their parents. His Sharingan spins to life as he takes in their translucent forms, stomach swishing at their faint smiles, arms outstretched for him. Leave this place, Sasuke, go back to our home. Blood drips from their grins and his whole body tightens. What is this? Genjutsu. He draws in a breath. Fire release, blaze bullets. Their figures fade in the steam and ash that arises, Naruto and Hinata approaching up behind him. What is it? Some kind of animal or a person? Naruto pulls out a kunai at ready, shadow clones leaping for the trees and bushes for any further movement. Hinata keeps her Byakugan active, swallows. Whatever she just saw wasn't her mother, her lips twisted in a sneer. In the short time I raised you, it wasn't to be weak, Hinata. Just back home already, forget this mission. Surely you should be a stronger kunoichi by now, right? You continue to fail to live up the Hyuga name, it's no wonder Hiashi has turned his attention towards Hanabi and Neji. Those harsh, mocking words would come from father or Neji, not her. Did you guys see a loved one or family member too? She musters up her voice. Naruto's shoulders fall just slightly, cocks his head. Earlier, when we first started climbing up, I swear I heard Iruka's voice and old man Tuki's. They both kept murmuring for me to turn back, give up on being Hokage. Hinata clicks her tongue. I briefly saw something that looked like my mother. Sasuke remains silent for a moment as their gazes turn to him. My brother and our parents. So we're all seeing images of people close to us to try and freak us out. Well, we're not going to leave, whoever you are. Naruto yells out, steps up to the shrine. He tightens his grip on the scroll to be ready until he notes a flicker of movement where the moonlight ends by the bushes. Wait, maybe I won't need this after all. Sasuke. Hinata. Secure the area behind me. Hinata puts down a lightning barrier while Sasuke takes to the trees to be ready with fire. A new specter appears clad in shinobi armor reminiscent of the Warring States era. Leave this place, you three mock your dead loved ones and those who care about you. You aren't true shinobi. It rasps out. Naruto moves past the supposed ghost, takes in the further shuffling in the bushes behind the shrine. Wind release, twister. Two men appear out of the foliage as the gale blows away their hiding spot, blocked in by Naruto's clones. Hold on, don't attack. We just didn't want the people of Tengakawa to forget the shrine's meaning. So many people kept coming to wish for more Ryo, extra animals, fancy wines and clothes. We didn't mean any harm. The first man yelps. Hinata goes for the shorter of the two before he can run, paralyzed by her lightning lattice. She pushes a kunai into stomach, toppling him, just enough to draw blood as she pounces on top of him. You two think it's fun to use genjutsu on people. Mock Naruto's dream, mine and Sasuke's. Scare people by giving them images of the dead or loved ones. The man squirms, Hinata covering his scream. Why should we let you two go? His body further quivers, eyes rolling back before he can respond. Hinata moves away for Sasuke to tie him up, sighing, shaking out her lingering nerves. The taller man stiffens in panic as her glare turns to him. Masaru has already fainted. Please, we'll turn ourselves in. A clone to his left silences his apologies with a hit to the back of his neck and head. Naruto grunts as the man slumps down beside his partner, glances back over to his team. Well, at least we know it wasn't ghosts. Iruka and Hinata, Konoha Academy, Hyuga compound. Masaru and Riku are brothers. They grew up on stories from their grandparents on how people built the Hoshihana shrine for peace, health, and bountiful harvests. I suppose with the passage of time, the shrine has become a way to make more frivolous wishes they felt was poisoning its meaning. Hence, using genjutsu to keep people away. The team you sent out was very efficient. Please make sure our compensation reaches them. Iruka reviews. It seems they handled everything okay. Kakashi reads behind him on Team 7's report. Iruka slowly nods. His worries were unfounded. It seems that they wouldn't be ready for the exams. Kakashi leans back from the wall, removes 3 papers from his vest. I'll give them the applications tomorrow then. It will be up to them personally if they feel they're ready to test for Chunin. As their sensei, and from what I've seen so far, they are. Iruka nods, Kakashi letting him finish with his last bits of paperwork. A knock comes at his door minutes later, glances up seeing a flicker of violet. He's removed any potential Weapons, from his office since her first visit via putting his pens and pencils away out of reach, gaze turning frosty compared to the warm smile he gave her right after their initial teams were announced. Hinata smiles lightly, glad she decided to make this pit stop on the way home. At this time of day, majority of the staff have gone home already, don't spare her a second glance. You know that wasn't necessary, testing us that way Iruka-sensei. Her gaze sharpens, stepping forward. If you're still trying to keep me from Naruto. No. Contrary to how you felt about the original team assignments, we based each team on academic scores and physical performance. Iruka curtly interrupts. Hinata hums. Isn't Ino Shika-cho based on tradition among their 3 clans? Would it really have been balanced to have a full scouter, rescue and recovery team? Iruka studies her hands, wound behind her back. I guess we won't know unless it becomes necessary in the future for adjustments to be made to teams for various assignments. Hinata nods, steps back from his office. I'm glad you care about Naruto's progress to Iruka-sensei, so I know you won't interfere any longer now since he's graduated. She heads out hearing footsteps coming from down the hall. I should check in on Naruto before going home. Hinata decides. Ramen as usual. Hinata chimes out in greeting. Naruto lifts his head, grins. Hey, we deserve it after those back-to-back missions you know. He's on his 4th bowl by the time she reached. Ichiraku's, catches up to him with ease as she nods to Tuki her usual order. She takes in the smell of spice and seasonings within in her first bowl, digs in eagerly. How did you eat your tonkatsu ramen that fast? Naruto gapes at 6 bowls stacked neatly beside her an hour later. Hinata giggles, reaches out to flick away a stray noodle from his chin. I've barely eaten much since we came back from Tengakawa village. Naruto's brows furrow. He recalls Sasuke munching at a sandwich on the way home, Hinata nibbling at an onigiri. His stare softens, grabs at her closest hand to keep her from fiddling with her chopsticks. Is everything okay? You can tell me. You failed to live up to the Hyuga name, a member of the main family. It's no wonder Hiyashi is considering Hanabi for heiress. She calms her breathing at the memory. That was just genjutsu, not actually mother. But it sounded so similar to what the elders always say, what father always says. Hinata squeezes at his hand. Is it bad that I'm nervous for the exam sum? Neji and his team will be competing this year since Gai-sensei held them back last year. Naruto cocks his head. I thought you weren't worried about what that asshole in your family thinks. Hinata grins despite a few patrons sending him ugly looks at his language. I'm not concerned about what they think of me, Naruto. I worry what I will need to do to prove I can no longer be pushed around by him. Because Neji still hates her, has yet to go to father to get Uncle Hazashi's letter. Where have you been? Hiyashi greets her. He's positioned himself right outside her room, forced to meet the harshness and concern in his expression. Opalescent hardens a fraction as Hinata studies him blankly. I appreciate that you still want me to be a kunoichi father. I suppose it would be embarrassing to you in the clan if I was forced to drop out for my previous actions. Hiyashi scowls. Your temper should be saved only for assignments or your upcoming matches for the exams. Not for the Jinchuriki of all people. I've told you this before that it's a waste of time to be associated with him. Hinata's features curdle and Hiyashi internally sighs that he's said something wrong when he's just trying to see some sign of her old self, pushed his eldest even further into a foul mood. Do you give Neji these lectures too? You know he may use the exams as an opportunity to try and kill me, right? She shoves his hand away, Hiyashi gripping it before she can move away, smiles icily at his glare. My relationship with Naruto isn't going anywhere, get used to it. Worry more for Neji who needs to know the truth behind Uncle's death. Hiyashi frowns. Neji wouldn't go so far as to try and harm you seriously. He isn't ready to know until I see he's properly matured. Perhaps if he makes Chunin or if you do. Hinata purses her lips, flicker of upset slipping through before a haze takes over her features, done with this conversation even if he forces her to stay put. He lets her go and Hinata slips quietly into her room, click echoing out of her locking the door. Team Guy outside classroom 301. So many applicants this year from all over. Neji sighs. He notes Hinata's team submitted their applications together. She didn't decide to stay back, probably only for Naruto's sake. Hinata is nodding along at something Sakura and Kiba are saying, most likely regarding the who's who of participants across the nations. The Sand siblings from Suna have gotten more than few head turns along with a group of genin who hail from the newly formed Sound Village. Sakura keeps a reserved distance from her, Kiba in front. Come on, you really think you the dead last of our class can get beyond this first round? Kiba snorts. Yeah, not like you'll get very far considering you have to have your dog for help. Naruto retorts. Hinata hums thoughtfully. Kiba, what will you do if Akamaru dies during these exams? I suppose you'll have to forfeit then, correct? Sakura blanches. Don't say that. We're not going to fall prey to any tricks or unnecessary danger. You'll see soon enough how strong we've gotten. Her eyes roam to Sasuke curiously, silently taking in every team filtering in. Stronger. Kurenai-sensei has taught me how to use sound and smell-based genjutsu. I have to be stronger if I'm to properly be a kunoichi and worthy of Sasuke and not relying on others. Hinata readily agrees. Your ankle is okay too. Sakura feels her mouth twitch. All healed up. Her gaze skirts to Naruto, just quietly observing them. Huh, Hinata helped take the loud out of you. Naruto blinks, points at himself. Has she? I still feel really pumped up as always. We're gonna kick ass in here compared to all the old farts around from what I can see. Well, some things are still the same. Sakura muses, noting the growing ugly stares sent their way. Kiba still bristles as if stung, Shino pulling him back before he can move for Naruto or Hinata. Sasuke nods for them to follow him towards the front. And as they go, Hinata finally glances over to Neji at sensing his stare. Tenten nods in her direction, snickers as she nudges Neji, getting his attention. That girl has the trademark Hyuga eyes. Is she a relative of yours? He reluctantly glances back towards Hinata, surprised to see her now waving at him and his team. He takes in what he knows now is a fake smile of hers, pearl eyes sharp and assessing. Yes, I know her. She's my cousin, he mutters. Lee nods at the resemblance. She seems friendly, burning with youth despite being a year younger than us. I'm sure she's excited to see a familiar face here. Neji watches as Hinata's wave slows, taps once at her forehead via her middle finger at him. Exactly where the curse seal is for him on his own head. He grits his teeth. I need to be on guard even if I outmatch her. I'm not so sure on that part. Hey everyone. Quick little pause, just a huge thank you for subscribing. We're on the road to WrestleMania, 100 subscribers. I'm beyond grateful for every one of you, so thank you so much, and let's jump back into the action. Ibiki, Naruto and Hinata, Classroom 301. So many applicants this year. Naruto holds in a groan, catching the stack of papers up front. My worst enemy. A written exam. And it doesn't look like it will even be multiple choice. Hinata pats at his back. We studied for this, Naruto. There was always a chance they would check our field knowledge, common medicinal herbs, and weapons basics. Though through a quick closer look via her Byakugan, the first question is a complex one. List all the angles at which a kunai is needed. Hit an enemy hiding in the bushes south of you is not something Iruka-sensei ever covered during our lessons in class. We never really covered topics like speed of a weapon or projection, only really on making sure we could hit the target in the first place. She scrunches up her nose to think, sighs as Sakura breathes a slight sigh of relief, catching a glance at the first few questions as well. If she sits in a position where I can see her paper, I can just cheat off of her, or maybe Neji. A light smile plays at her lips, recalling Neji's scowl. He at least has friendly teammates who waved back at her. Still, she'll take her chances with Sakura first. Ibiki chuckles as various teams walk by. It's a mix of the young and the old, repeat testers and fresh-faced graduates straight out of the academy. He'll need to weed out quite a few of them to not make the forest of death too crowded for Anko to deal with. His eyes roam across the classroom, particularly on the rookies, notes Naruto sitting beside Hinata. He'd shaken his head at Mizuku and Tanbo, sending him a look to split the two up. No other genin teams have a team member sitting directly beside them. Just because it's the Jinchuriki and the Hyuga's clan heiress, doesn't mean they should get special perks. Mizuku argues as the duo take their seats. Iwashi nods his agreement. They need to prove they can handle this test separately. Tanbo clicks his tongue. Or you can find a reason to simply fail them both if you need to. We'll back you up if Lord Third says anything. Ibiki shakes his head. I can handle 2 genin. He'd rather avoid the headache of how Hinata Hyuga would react in such a scenario from what he heard and read from her file. Looks can be deceiving. A nervous smile graces her lips, twirling a finger through her short violet locks to keep them from shaking. It will be fine, he'll be keeping an additional set of eyes on them both to make up for any possible advantage. He isn't sure if either heard their muffled conversation right as they took their seats, Naruto and Hinata's features giving nothing away. You all will have exactly 90 minutes to answer the 9 questions below with a final 10th question at the 30-minute mark. Anyone caught cheating 5 times will automatically be disqualified along with their whole team. He chuckles as bodies go rigid, skin paling as eyes nervously shift between the proctors and their papers. Alright, if nobody has any further questions, begin. Yup, I don't understand any of this. Naruto muses as he reads over questions 1 through 3. Question 4 wants him to list at least 10 herbs that grow around Konoha's forests. He only knows a few though and not necessarily how they can be used for wound care, which can be used as poisons against an enemy shinobi, and potential side effects caused by indigestion. How would people who don't even live in or near Konoha answer this? He bemoans hearing the scratch of pencils moving all around him. He straightens his posture. I can't let Hinata and Sasuke down even if I don't know. I'm not going to fail, I'll find a way. About 15 minutes in, one of them finally starts cheating. Ibiki raises a brow. Hinata twists her paper just slightly for Naruto to peek, but he oddly outright refuses her offer. With his girlfriend having the Byakugan, you'd think he'd take the free pass. He considers. Tanbo had written down the first cheating offense for Hinata and her eyes instantly moved over to him. Glaring, she scratches something next to a question while looking straight at him. Naruto resting one hand against his chin. The other hand stays in his lap. And Ibiki watches his mouth move in a whisper before looking down again at his paper, hears a trickling come to his right. Water release, cutting serpent. A spiraling torrent of water tears and slithers across Tanbo's ankles jolting him from his chair, clipboard nearly slipping from his hands. Hinata smiles without looking over, snaps her fingers adding to the attack. Lightning release, thunder barrage. Electricity joins the water in mini bolts, freezes Tanbo from stepping forward until it's quickly moved away by the other proctors. Naruto and Hinata glance over in unison. Naruto scribbles an answer down before they both turn their attention elsewhere once more. Tanbo straightens with a curse at his now soaked shoes, the light wave of snickers that follow until Ibiki raises a hand for quiet. Silence or I consider it a failure. You all have only 30 minutes left before the final question. He yells out. Not that it seems to matter, the distraction has put the remaining participants at ease for whatever the last question might be. Interesting. I have no idea what type of code those two could have been using to create such an event. It isn't like they knew ahead of time what the first phase would entail to come up with a system beforehand. He marvels. It isn't sign language or writing something directly down. Instead they communicated via taps of their pencil, the direction they stared in. Ibiki grins to himself. He'll have to see what Master Jiraiya thinks of this. The clock winds down and he blows on a whistle. Pencils down everyone. Everyone remaining has officially passed the first phase. You all have shown the confidence to handle yourselves under high-stress situations and collect intel at the same time. Sighs of relief fill the air mixed with cheers. I'll dismiss you all by rows to head to the second phase at the Forest of Death being proctored by Enko Mitarashi. He instructs. Hinata purposely passes Tanbo on the way out, still squeezing lingering water from his pants, rubbing at his ankles slowly. She takes him in sympathetically, pearl eyes peering him up and down. But they quickly darken with malice, voice a wisp of ice. Are you okay? She asks gently. Tanbo looks up, forms a small grin. I'm fine, please don't worry about me miss and continue on to the next phase. Hinata blinks. Good. That was quite embarrassing, huh? I'm sure you gave your fellow proctors a good laugh. She steps back, continues on before he can speak. Not very elite, Chunin behavior to jump like that. You can't blame me being the Hyuga heiress on that or trying to fail Naruto and I for things outside our control, like being the Jinchuriki. Chunin should be encouraging the next generation, remember that. Ibiki laughs as the room clears out. Tanbo moves himself towards where the sunlight better hits, notes tiny dots of scarlet amid splotches of blue and purple as he pulls up his pants leg. He shakes his head in dismay, unsure what to say as he catches Ibiki's eye, accepts the gauze he passes him. So they hurt us after all. Enko Team 7 Forest of Death entrance. Is the forest really that bad? Naruto questions while taking in giant oak, pine, and sycamore trees behind Enko. Sunlight doesn't pass through the leaves, smell of dew and moss rising the closer they step to the fence. Though besides the greenery casting everything in shadow, it doesn't seem much different from the woods he always goes to for training or fishing. Enko snickers, flickers in behind him wrapping an arm around his neck. Trust me kid, there's some wicked flora and fauna unique only to the Forest of Death that can kill you if you're not careful. That's why I'm about to get you all to sign these waivers in case you die while inside the forest's depths. Don't want any of your loved ones or friends back home holding me or Konoha responsible for any grievous injuries or death. Speaking of kill, oh if looks could do so. Because Hinata would have killed her twice over by now, swipes her hand off Naruto fast enough for her to draw out a kunai. She slides it to her cheek, presses the tip in enough to draw up a bubble of blood. Hinata stiffens at her speed, though it does nothing to stop the venom in her tone. I only wanted your nasty hands off of my man. We don't know where they've been or if you even bathe. I'm sure you understand, right? Enko snickers as she moves back to the front where everyone can see her. Cute and rude. But, I getcha. And just for the record, I do take a daily shower. She volleys back dryly. Time to get down to business. Enko claps her hands in delight getting everyone's attention once more. Alright kiddies. Welcome to the second phase of these exams. The goal of this part of the test is to reach the central tower in the forest within 5 days with both a heaven and earth scroll in tow. You'll need to get the scroll you're missing from an opposing team. Everyone will also be given a secret objective that they must personally complete before they can head to the tower. She holds up a box then containing a random assortment of tasks they'll draw from. These can range from easy to difficult such as collecting a small blood sample, fang, or feather from one of the creatures here. Another easy one would be gathering a bundle of herbs or mushrooms to bring back to the central tower. We like to do continual research on the animals and plants here for our ecology departments. Just make sure they aren't poisonous. And don't try to fake it either. We'll be checking very closely to make sure whatever you bring us actually does grow in these forests. No one raises a hand for questions, Enko continuing on. Harder objectives will be more unique like taking a personal item from one of the opposing teams in addition to their scroll. If you draw this scenario, said item can even come from any fallen shinobi who previously died in these woods whose corpse we just haven't been able to retrieve yet. Enko finishes with a grin. There are bodies still in there. Hinata purses her lips, stomach flipping. She has seen death before when a branch member dies in the line of duty after a mission gone wrong or when an elderly main family member eventually passes from disease or old age. In all of those cases though their bodies had already been cleaned and dressed in the Hyuga clan's silk robes in preparation for the funeral and burial. Gashes, infected limbs, and broken bones were never visible like they will be now for her. They start forming a line to sign the waivers and pick up their personal tasks. Relax. It won't be anything impossible. Her nails indent into her palms. She ceases memories of death, steps forward. Your turn girly. Don't have your head in the clouds or you'll slow down your team. Enko teases. Hinata ignores her as she puts a hand into the box. Without opening it, she checks. Collect a personal item off of a rival team. Kunai and other weapons do not count. Passing examples are any piece of clothing, attire, hair, skin, eyes, or teeth. She keeps the paper folded even once she's beside Naruto and Sasuke. Mine is collect the blood of any animal within the forest. Sasuke mutters. Naruto beams cheerfully. Nice. I got an easy one too you know. Except mine needs to be any herb or mushroom that grows near the base of a tree. Just need to be sure it isn't one of the toxic types. Hinata smiles as both boys turn to her. Naruto sees her grin twitch just slightly and his grin instantly falls. Instantly knows what her task is. Sasuke clenches his fists. It doesn't need to be from anyone alive. Plus clothing counts too. Hinata nods, though she feels the pressure sinking into her like stones. There's a heavy glare too that is following them from one of the teams she can't fully discern. Only that it is towards Sasuke alone. Someone is purposely watching them, not even Anko seems aware of this unstable chakra unless she's hiding it behind her smirk. They're waiting for the right time to target us or just Sasuke. Either way, such a strong opponent won't be the one she targets for her personal task. Her eyes roam to Sakura, tapping her cheek thoughtfully as she quietly discusses her task with Kiba and Shino. Ino too is shifting from foot to foot nervously, brushes a hand through her blonde locks in frustration. If I'm to complete this, I need to go for people I know who are weaker, who attack in ways that are more defensive than offensive. Forest of Death, Northeast. Section Team 8, Sakura. Nice job Akamaru. Hey, by the time Choji realizes we switched out his favorite bag of barbecue chips for a bag of ration pills, we'll already be long gone. Kiba cheers. Akamaru yips in agreement, happily accepts the bag of treats he fishes out from his pocket for him. Sakura happily ruffles at his head, thankful for his and Kiba's nose. Her earlier grievances being on this team have slowly receded, especially when both boys can mask their scent and scout out where all the other teams are respectively. The sticky trap is holding together nicely too. Sakura smiles, rock needles having hid the pit of webs behind it. Kiba nods over to Shino and the vial of blood he's just obtained from his beetles feeding on a centipede's body, azure liquid glimmering in fading sunlight. And then they both look to her. My task is the only one left. Sakura realizes. She must collect a set of herbs or mushrooms to bring back to the tower. Don't be slow on this. Sakura searches the terrain. Fuki or mugwort would be easiest to find since they grow along forest edges and damp locations. She recalls from lessons at the academy. Most of the plants and mushrooms near the entrance have been picked or purposely destroyed, grass thoroughly blackened or coated in sand and mud. Her gaze turns towards the treetops to look for Nameko and shiitake mushrooms instead, follows Shino's beetles up through moss and vine. Kiba sniffs the air. On your right. Sakura follows his directions, beams as she sees a mix of amber and brown caps. Perfect. There's plenty here. She pulls out a dozen just as she hears a piercing yell behind her. Blackbirds take flight, half turning to see a spray of crimson and sand shoot up into the air like a flare gun. In an instant, all of Team Shigur have been killed. Shino's beetles instantly shroud her in black just as the sand siblings glance in their direction, sense their presence. Gaara flicks away blood off of Shigur's umbrella. They're close enough for Sakura to hear him state aloud the desire to kill more. Don't move. We can't draw any attention to ourselves or we'll be targeted next. Shino mutters. Akamaru trembles, Kiba burrowing him further into his jacket. Her heartbeat drowns out whatever Tamari and Kankuro say that finally gets Gaara to turn around, minutes passing in slow motion until they're truly gone. Shino sits forward just slightly. All right, we're in the clear now. Let's give them a wide berth to get to the tower first. Sakura and Kiba warily nod, take in the remnants of blood and sand where Team Shigur had been standing just moments ago. Bile skims the back of her throat, forcing herself to look away. I'm not going to die in this forest. Forest of Death, Southwest Section Team 7. We need to come up with a team signal or code in case we get separated or someone tries to disguise themselves as one of us. Sasuke decides. Naruto withers at the idea. I guess. However, I don't want it to be something complicated like Iruka-sensei would give us. Sasuke rolls his eyes. If it's too easy moron then other teams will be able to copy it. It has to be a difficult saying or quote. Hinata raises a hand before Naruto can argue back. I suggest we use a mix of numbers, hand seals, and wordplay to symbolize each other. That will be a complex enough way should one of our identities become compromised. We can additionally use it as a way to point out something one of us hasn't noticed yet. She starts with the tiger symbol before forming the number 8 with her fingers, whispers the word Hotaru, firefly. Sasuke moves his hands into the dragon symbol, makes the number 2 with his index finger and thumb before muttering Karasu, crow. Naruto cocks his head in confusion. Wait, what are we doing again? A unique hand seal, number, and codename for ourself. Hinata nods, Naruto wrinkling his nose in thought before snapping his fingers. He forms the symbol for Ram, makes the number 9, then declares he'll use Gamma Toad. They memorize each other's symbols and names before continuing on, Hinata pausing hearing rustling in the bushes to the left. Another team. One of us should go check to avoid an ambush. she offers, activating her Byakugan. Once she collects a personal item off of an opposing team, they can then focus on getting to the central tower. There's at least one chakra signature there. She notes. Hold on, how many people are you detecting? Naruto questions. Hinata holds up one finger, doesn't wait for him or Sasuke to say anything else before slinking forward into the dark. Sasuke frowns as she disappears out of sight. It isn't a good idea for us to split up even for just a short amount of time. Naruto shrugs. Well, we can't lie in wait forever either, gotta get us an earth scroll too, you know. Also, what happens if one of us needs to take a piss? I don't want Hinata going in front of you. Sasuke grits his teeth, restrains himself from kicking Naruto into the bushes after her. Hinata reappears a moment later, shakes her head with a sigh. It was a false alarm, I only found a mix of insects and lizards. Sasuke holds up a hand before she can get any closer. Hold on, what's your code number, name, and symbol? Naruto stares at her blankly without waiting for her to answer, pulls out a kunai. You're not Hinata. And before Hinata can step back, he jabs the blade into her stomach. His hand cuts through air instead, disguise breaking to reveal an aim ninja. His snicker echoes in his ears, heat igniting his skin. His teammates surround them in the opposite bushes and trees above, Sasuke drawing in a breath. Fire release, scorching bullet. The area erupts in steam, clicking his tongue. Haze clones. He peers to Naruto to assess, doing a back-to-back attack only to see his nails sharpened, vermilion seeping into the blue of his eyes. The monster he saw back in Wave returns. He grabs and harshly tugs at the main one's hair before he can swim back underground, glares into Oboro's startled eyes. Where are you going? This fight isn't done. Wait, if you kill me, I'll just have one of teammates do the same to that girlie. She's a Hyuga, right? Her eyes could easily fetch. Naruto silences him by slashing at his throat, mask tumbling off in shock. None of you are going to harm Hinata. Did you think that threat would make me falter? You're going to die now in these woods while your teammates watch. Blood gurgles from his mouth, hands attempting to cover the wound as Naruto forms a vice grip around his neck, skin darkening to a mix of reds and purples. Oboro raises up his hands to try and scratch at his face, Thrash is about to try and throw him off to no avail. Naruto, stop, you don't need to kill him. Sasuke shouts. Naruto kicks him back as he approaches, tone sharp with warning. Stay out of this. Oboro's movements start to slow, Naruto pressing down harder the more he struggles. Grass and dirt stir up into a cloud, though red eyes stay pinned on him. Damn it, where are Mugi and Kagari? Did they flee like cowards? No, maybe they're just setting another trap. Though he doesn't hear their footsteps coming back. And his stomach sinks at the ugly realization. Dark spots begin to fill his eyes, blur of violet crossing into the corner of his vision. Hinata. She got out of her bindings too fast, rope now in Sasuke's hands as the pair stay back. Sasuke scowls before shifting to check their gear for any further supplies, looking away. However, Hinata watches, smiles. Oboro manages out a garbled rasp, neck about to be crushed. He stretches a hand out to her, eyes pleading. And Hinata glances to Naruto as if considering stopping this, hope sparking in him when she nods to him. Maybe at least he'll escape this situation with his life, can turn this around later and truly trap all of them. But seconds pass and Hinata doesn't move any closer towards Naruto. Tell him to stop. We have a heaven scroll too. Oboro manages out in a hiss. Naruto forces his gaze once more but not before he sees Hinata shake her head just slightly. She walks around them and picks up his rebreathe mask. The sympathy he thought he saw was never there, pearl eyes blanketed with spite mouthing the last thing he sees. No. Forest of Death, Southeast Section Team Dosu and Team 7. It's Sasuke Uchiha we have to kill, right? Zaku asks while cracking his knuckles. The sun is finally starting to set to give them the perfect cover, moonlight beginning to trickle in along the trees and branches in paths of silver. Dosu nods, though his eye lingers on the blood-coating Sasuke's teammates, the rebreathe mask that's been pocketed by the girl. Those didn't come from a simple skirmish. He isn't even sure if Master Orochimaru has intercepted with them yet, considers if they'll be ambushing them too early, messing with his plans. Something about this all seems off. Orochimaru ceased experimenting with our weapons months ago and yet wanted us to still participate in these exams. Not to mention, he never said what exactly to do with the Uchiha's body once we kill him. Kin hops down beside him before he can dwell any further on the thought, smirks as she brings out her Senbon needles. I can distract the little Hyuga princess. One of you can deal with the loudmouth. Dosu rubs his chin, mulling it over before nodding. Fine, I want to deal with Sasuke myself. Zaku chuckles. Good, cuz the blonde one keeps talking a big game and I'm gonna put him in his place. This is the best time to attack when they're exhausted from their earlier fighting. As if on cue, they hide themselves into a thicket of bushes as they hear them approach. We should set up base for the night and get some rest. Set a few traps around and then first thing tomorrow, try and find a team with a Earth Scroll. Sasuke reviews, Naruto and Hinata readily agreeing. Hinata scans the area with her Byakugan, frowns. Guys, fireflies are gathering close from the north, only about 10 to 15 feet away. She whispers, forms the tiger symbol with her hands to point at where they're coming from. How many? Sasuke mutters back. Hinata raises 3 fingers, Naruto and Sasuke discreetly nodding in return. Dosu, Kin, and Zaku nod to each other as they wait for them to finish settling themselves before splitting up to go for their respective target. Dosu scowls at his rising heartbeat, buries down that same niggling thought again he's had since they came to Konoha from Otogakure. There must be a reason why Master Orochimaru is so interested in Sasuke. I don't even believe he truly wants him killed. If anything, this seems more like a test. Naruto clicks his tongue. I can cover first shift staying up. Zaku perks up, beams. I'm up. He approaches in from Naruto's right, raises up his hands. Sorry, but you're gonna be joining the rest of those that have died in these woods. Naruto startles, airwaves blowing him back, rises up his hands before he's completely pushed out of the clearing. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He forms a human chain around the trees, Zaku snickering as he steps closer, increasing the pressure of sound and air. Clones pop as he eventually gets thrown backwards out of sight of both Sasuke and Hinata. Naruto. Sasuke calls out. Dosu jumps down to block him from going after him, takes in as his eyes spin from obsidian to crimson. So this is what the Sharingan looks like up close. Your fight is with me, Uchiha. Kin slides into position with both Zaku and Dosu initiating their fights, tosses out her first Senbon needle. The attached bell chimes out through the dark, Hinata's eyes shifting towards the sound before moving up her hands. Rotation. The second set of needles clatter to the ground before they can strike her, Kin's form moving out from behind a tree. Hey, you may have blocked my first needles, but can you keep up with the rest of these? She tosses out another barrage of needles, bells ringing in every direction. A twinge of pain throbs throughout her head, multiple clones of Kin seemingly weaving between the leaves and branches. Hinata inhales slowly, focuses on her scent. She's going to try and attack me from behind, near my blind spot. She slows her rotation just slightly, Kin fisting at the back of her jacket roughly pulling her back. Girls like you are so pathetic, all of the Konoha's kunoichi really with how much you lot focus on boys overtraining. But you top the ones I've seen so far with how lovesick you are for that blonde moron. Distracted so much by him that you got caught before you even knew it. Her Senbon pierces at her neck and Hinata's body pops into a cloud. Substitution. Kin twists as she hears the rustle of her jacket coming, Hinata slicing her hand cleanly off before she can move it forward to strike. Her fallen limb topples to the ground, scream muffled as Hinata tumbles them backwards into the bushes. Your overconfidence will be the death of you. Hinata hovers above her, ignores the heavy scent of copper pooling around them. She plunges her kunai into her chest, stabs and digs in until Kin's head rolls back. She pushes her body out into view of Zaku and Dosu. Zaku is the first to see her. He gapes at her paling skin where the kunai lies embedded. It's too late already to even help her, eyes wide and glassy frozen in shock. Shit, Kin shouldn't have been taken down so easily. Did they have reinforcements somewhere? Zaku looks around wildly, Hinata nowhere to be seen. The bushes, the trees, where is she or the others hiding? I'll force you out, he shouts, but he's exhausted using his best blasts from his initial assault on Naruto, stretching his fingers if he will need to fight with his fists instead. A hand jabs at his back and arms just as he makes to move closer to Kin's corpse, body going limp as Hinata blocks his air tubes with dirt and metal. She fights down rising panic churning at her stomach at Naruto no longer fully in view. Hopefully, he hasn't gotten too far to have run into another team or large animal. From the corner of her eye, she sees Sasuke fight off Dosu, moving ahead to track down Naruto first. Good. I'll catch up with him in a moment. Zaku writhes angrily, only stills when Hinata lights a match by his hands. Ready to detonate. You shouldn't have come here. Sasuke and Naruto Forest of Death, Northwest Section. Damn it, that moron couldn't have gone flying off that far. Sasuke scowls, pushes his legs to move faster beneath underbrush and vine. Every branch and tree he hops and moves under is covered heavily with dew or moss, moon sinking behind clouds further plunging him into darkness. He finally catches a glimpse of blonde locks tangled in a thicket of bushes on his left, breathes a sigh of relief. Until he notes the creature starting to slide around his legs. A snake as tall as the very trees surrounding them. Bright yellow eyes look from him to Naruto, opens its mouth revealing twin sets of white fangs. Naruto. Wake up. Sasuke shouts, draws in a breath as the serpent prepares to strike. Fire release. Inferno wave. The blaze ropes up the trees and bushes right as Naruto sits up again seeing the danger he's in. He unleashes a barrage of shadow clones that only get swallowed up alongside him, Snake's mouth at least briefly clogged up from fully shutting. Sasuke gives follow as the snake attempts to slither back downwards into the deeper parts of the forest, clicking his tongue as he moves parallel to it by going higher into the trees. I won't let it get away. I'll just attack it from above, pinning it in place. He spits out a mix of fireballs and molten pellets, heat melting at the branches and leaves sending debris toppling on top of the serpent, slowing it down. His earlier flames catch up and burn at the snake's skin before it can shed, explodes from the inside out at the onslaught of Naruto's clones further piling up. Sasuke leaps over to Naruto, takes in slime and ash coating him before shaking his head. You smell like snake guts and fire. He notes dryly. Naruto squeezes and wipes off what we can of the snake's stomach acid and tissue clinging to his jacket and hair, shrugs with a grin as Sasuke dodges the bits of flesh he flings in his direction. Could be worse. I could be smelling like shit, like you. A slow clap of hands gets both their attention, pair turning to see a new set of eyes watching them from the opposite trees. Sharp ink-black eyes seem to glow at them despite the dark, head tilted at them in interest. Impressive. I thought with all the body modifications that I did to Team Dosu that they would give you more of a challenge, Sasuke. However, you're so much stronger than them. I really should have known better to believe they could do any lasting damage. However, I'm glad I got to see your power up close. So, you deserve an award. The man purrs. Naruto rolls his neck, cracks his knuckles. Well, he's outright ignoring me for Sasuke. Nothing new there. Was this guy among the participants at the entrance? His headband is from Kusagaku, a small nearby village that he heard many of the proctors wonder why they were even participating with such a low turnout of viable or interesting genin. Team Shigure and Team Shior were the only groups representing that nation. It's the leader of Team Shior. I don't know what type of skills he has, but he looks well rested enough to put up a decent fight. We've already used up a lot of chakra from those earlier fights, Naruto. It would be best to do a mix of defensive and offensive to get away from here with the scroll we have intact in our collections. Sasuke mutters. His fingers twitch at his sides, man's playful smile making his chest tighten. Naruto scoffs at the very idea of running, nearly wonders if Sasuke has been replaced by a doppelganger like Hinata was earlier. Don't be dumb, this freak isn't gonna just let us leave this area, you know. And speak for yourself, I have plenty of stamina left. All we need to do is create a diversion with you using your fireballs to create a smokescreen and then block him off with the trees. If that's too scary for you, I can just overwhelm with my clones. Shior waves up a finger before Sasuke can argue at his reckless idea. Tisk you two. I won't have you two whispering between each other. That's how you'll get yourself killed. He warns. His glare turns piercing, both boys freezing in place. Sweat chills Naruto's skin, fingers refusing to move at least to throw out a kunai or shuriken. Anything. What the heck is wrong with me? I have to move. One of us has to move. Naruto panics, but his whole body feels as if it's sunken into mud. He manages to turn his head just slightly to see if Sasuke is Paralyzed too, surprised to see his body trembling in shock too. If Sasuke's truly this afraid too, then he stops himself from continuing that thought. Shior's body stretches forward, wrapping around the trees, obsidian eyes narrowing as their gazes meet. "You're in the way, Jinchuriki boy," he hisses near his ear before he slams a punch straight into his stomach. Naruto gasps, startles back in surprise as a hot stabbing wave shoots through him, knees buckling. His vision blurs, coughing up a mix of blood and spit, hands wrapping protectively at his gut should he attack again. Shior's hand moves forward again, roughly shoving him off the branch, wind screeching in his ears. "Crap, I need to get back up there. I can't let Sasuke fight that guy alone." But this wound, this throbbing ache right by his seal presses and wraps around him like a fist, sinking into darkness before he can yell for Sasuke to run. Sasuke breaks out of his stupor as Naruto's body falls for the forest floor, draws up a hand right as Shior's face is in front of him. Fire release. Dragon's flame. Shior only laughs as he manages to melt away his mask, revealing gray skin, amber yellow eyes. His fingers brush right beneath his eyes, taking in the Sharingan's beauty up close, snicker cutting through the air. "You can't leave without your reward, Sasuke. If you can survive this mark, then I'll know for sure you are worthy of my power. Of being my next host." His head leans closer to his neck, revealing a set of fangs. Sasuke wiggles and twists in his hold to no avail, Shior forcing his gaze. He sinks his teeth in, curse seal forming in a perfect tomo near the puncture site. Overall, everything went perfectly. He taps Sasuke's cheeks again before he passes out. "Remember this moment of weakness when that thirst for power becomes unbearable, Sasuke, when you realize Konoha will never give you the skills and power you need to kill your brother." Itachi. What does this guy know about him? He tastes bile on the back of his tongue before the thought can sink in, everything he ate earlier heaved out. And still Shior won't let him go, smiles as he wipes away the remnants of his late lunch from his chin. "Find me when that moment happens, Sasuke. My name is Orochimaru. Team Dosu in Hinata Forest of Death, Southeast Section." She hovers the flame closer near Zaku's hands, takes in a breath. "I would like some answers before your death. Who sent you to target us specifically?" Zaku snorts. "Got nothing to say to you, girly. Hey, I doubt you even know how to actually torture someone to get answers." Hinata sighs. True, she doesn't have the skills of Ibiki, and it took Sasuke and Naruto's power to even get him restrained to this point. "Alright, may you have peace then in the afterlife." He yelps in shock as she drops the match before moving back to not get caught in the coming blast. Dosu moves in from her right as the flames shoot up, raises up his arm. Hinata turns, not quick enough. Rotation. Even as his kunai gets knocked away, it was only a distraction as his speaker gets next to her ears. "You forgot who else is in your environment. I still have some fight left in me," echo drill. Ringing pulses through her head down to her toes, dropping to the ground. She winces as Dosu steps closer, gleam in his visible eye that he can at least take out one member of Team 7. "Fight it off. Fight it off." Dizziness threatens to pull her under completely, holding her stance. She notes the bruises and cuts that mar his skin, a tiny crack in the side of his speaker. Ah, so that's where Sasuke first attacked him. And where she must go to if she's to survive this. Once he's a breath away, she jabs at his arms, tips of her fingers igniting until the gauntlet bursts from his hands. Metal goes flying in every direction into the bushes and trees, Hinata switching to lightning. Lightning release. Flash palm. He startles back before the current can fully shock him. "How are you still moving?" Hinata struggles to get back up with bile right on her tongue, spits it out between them. Adrenaline pushes her, the rush to not die. "Sasuke disarmed that echo speaker of yours during your fight with him. The sounds aren't as vibrant or piercing as before, keeping me upright." Zaku's scream forces their attention back on him. His eyes have become manic, last breaths coming in short, uneven bursts. "Crazy bitch. You're not. You won't even make it to the finals, I bet." Hinata laughs softly. True, with the remaining powerhouses she knows that are left for the upcoming third phase, it's likely the Proctors and Hokage will weed them out via one-on-one matchups. Perhaps. But you're definitely not going to go, at least. His legs jitter wildly as he attempts to put out the flames, Dosu tossing mud and dirt over in an attempt to smother it. Hinata jabs into his left arm and legs before he can give him too much, stamina slowed enough now for her to match his speed. She shakes away lingering dizziness to strike at Dosu's chest, forcing him completely still, breathing hard. Please stop struggling now. Sit and watch your teammate die. The fire laps up the damp earth without stopping, spreads nearly connecting to Dosu, shifting backwards as much as he can with his remaining strength. Together, they watch as metal melts into Zaku's skin, turning it a blistery red right as the explosion comes. His body slowly blackens, slumping over. And then pearl eyes twist to Dosu. He takes in her distorted grin, vomit clinging to her jacket. Despite her ears surely still ringing some and looking just as exhausted as him, she's going to find a way to kill him unless he can persuade her not to. You should join Zaku in the fire too. I know Naruto will be happy that he won't have to deal with the guy who called him a loudmouth and weak. Dosu tenses, weighs with what options he has left. He can still find a heaven and earth scroll on his own once this paralysis wears off, make it to the next phase without his teammates. Sasuke hasn't been dealt with yet, though he'll get his revenge via an official matchup soon enough if he plans things carefully. Orochimaru. He's our sensei and sponsor from Otogakur. But now I'm not so sure if he even ever saw us as students or just pawns. He gestures with his head to their bag. There's an earth scroll in there. Take it and I won't bother you or your teammates for the duration of these exams. There's no more Team Dosu now anyways. Hinata peers between him and the bag, nods. Getting an earth scroll will make Naruto even happier. She ties up Dosu's hands and legs to be sure before going after Naruto and Sasuke. They've left a trail of destruction, deep crimson streaks smear jagged and warped branches and leaves. Whose blood is this? The air is chillier here, breath curling white as the moon thankfully breaks through the clouds once again. She comes upon Naruto first, looks up in time to see teeth get sunken into Sasuke's neck. The hairs on her arms lift as golden eyes flash to her before slipping away into the tree's shadows. Was that Orochimaru? He leaves behind the sweet, cloying smell of rotten fruit. A scent created maybe to cover the heavier aromas of damp, decaying earth and the metallic tang of blood. Sasuke. Check on him, not me. He's about to be attacked. Naruto grunts out. Naruto. Look at me. Hinata pats at his cheek, voice tinged with urgency that Orochimaru possibly poisoned them both with some unknown toxin. His eyes flutter open and close, head lolling against her neck. Whoops, hey, I'm super tired, Hinata. Naruto slurs out. Hinata shakes her head, ignores the heat she feels rising to her cheeks, lifting up his shirt and pulling at his pants to check for any major injuries. Purple splotches reside near his seal, already in the process of healing as she checks. She leans Naruto back against a tree, carefully maneuvers Sasuke back down beside them. 2 puncture bites mar his neck, new tomo mark seeming to pulse under her touch. For once the first aid lessons done at the compound may come in handy. Hinata bites her lip, recalling the many times father scolded her at getting a technique wrong or for moving too slow, earning her a bruise or cut. Hinata, when will you stop hesitating at the final moment? A proper Hyuga, let alone the future heiress of this clan, doesn't falter at their opponent no matter who they are. Are you that ready to give up your title to Hanabi? Hiyashi scowls, rubs at his forehead as her hands quiver. He can't even stand to look at her now. Her whole body prickles with heat, evening sun feeling twice as hot despite the cool breeze coming in at nightfall's approach. The day slipped away from her too fast, sky having gone from blue when they first came outside to spar to now a mix of violets and pinks. And still, she has yet to win even one round against Neji. Neji scoffs, mocking grin only igniting her blush down her neck. Uncle, perhaps Hinata should just go into the infirmary now. It wouldn't be fair to continue this when she's breathing so hard after all. Bruises throb as she forces her arms to be still and get back into position. Quickly, she blinks back hot tears at a wave of snickers from the elders, grandfather's mournful shake of his head. No. I mean, I handle one more sparring session. Please father. Hinata glances to Hiyashi. His gazes at her flatly and her stomach churns at his shake of his head. No, you're finished now, Hinata. I've seen enough disappointment out of you for one day. Lady Natsu thankfully doesn't pepper her with questions as she presses an alcohol swab to her deepest cuts, shoos Hanabi away to finish with her geography lessons before she can witness the shame of her tears. You mustn't let this be a setback for you, Lady Hinata. Keep training, even if out of sight of Master Hiyashi. Hinata manages a shaky smile, stops her nails from forming deeper crescents in her palms. Alright. And, thank you again Lady Natsu. All those afternoons with Sasuke and Naruto at the training grounds, sneaking out after dinner haven't amounted to enough. Are you sure you want me to use fire jutsu on you? Sasuke arches a brow. Hinata nods, gets back into position as Naruto's clones move closer. Yes, I want to get faster at being able to dodge projectiles while attacking. The gentle fist is a close-range attack, I must be prepared for anything my opponent might use from a long distance. Still, his fireballs leaves her skin peeling for days. Sure you aren't doing this to just get me to feed you? Naruto teases after day 4. Hinata giggles as he brings over a slice of pork, tries not to wince as her stomach muscles clench from the movement. No, maybe. Pass the miso soup over next please. She tears open the kit with trembling fingers, gauze and antiseptic packets scattering across the forest floor. She presses a cool cloth against both Sasuke and Naruto's heads, may need to boil some of the herbs they collected into a tea. Barrier. Traps. I need to make sure they both survive whatever toxin Orochimaru or whoever that was put in their systems. Hinata focuses. There's still 2 days left to get to the central tower and then they can put this all behind them. Hopefully. Cerulean meets Lilac as Hinata counts out the supplies, Naruto leaning forward. He takes in dried blood and vomit caking her jacket, brows furrowing trying to get his eyes to adjust to the dark. His shivers, words falling over each other as he rubs at his arms. Sorry for not being stronger. Next time, I won't let any surprise attacks land. Hinata shakes her head, hugs him close, feels the beginnings of a fever coming as their foreheads touch. It's going to be a long night and she isn't sure how much longer she can stay awake. Just lay back down, you need to rest. Naruto tugs at her arm to try and pull her down with him. You, too Hinata. You look sleepy. Hinata forces a watery smile. In a minute. I need to double check everything we have on hand. Naruto blinks owlishly. Okay. Sorry again. She should be the one to apologize, squeezing her eyes shut to think. To block out father's voice. You were too weak to save your teammates from this. Sasuke startles awake hours later, eyes glancing around wildly. The scent of blood still permeates, trees ripped from the roots, toppled over all around them. He shuts his eyes and sees twin fangs, a bemused smile. Find me when you no longer wish to be weak Sasuke. Where is he? Stop hiding. He yells out into the dark. Naruto stirs at his shouting, rubs sleep from his eyes. Stop yelling bastard. Who are you even calling out for? Sasuke turns his gaze on him and all lingering drowsiness evaporates taking ink-black swirls along his face and arms, a hint of gold seeping into his eyes similar to the snake guys from earlier. A moving tattoo skirts across half his face. I know you're not that dumb Naruto. Tell me where that snake guy went so that we can kill him together. Hinata pats at Sasuke's shoulder before he can move, points to his bandaged leg. He's gone. You're not going to be able to fight or find him in your current state either. We need to focus on resting and then getting out of here with both these scrolls and our individual items we had to collect. Sasuke bristles, roughly pushes her hand away. His shoulders stay tense, skin gleaming with cold sweat. And then he rises up a fist towards her. Naruto instantly jumps in his way. Stop being a bigger asshole than usual. Hinata has no reason to lie, so chill. He growls in warning. Slowly, Sasuke's body sags back from them, searches for a position against the opposite trees that won't make his body wince. His breaths come out shallow and fast before evening out as Naruto readjusts on his ice pack and makeshift blanket. Maybe sleep closer to me the rest of the night Hinata. Naruto mentions, Hinata scooting closer to him as he suggests. But her eyes stay open. The moon is starting to fall, light blue tinting the sky when her eyes finally grow too heavy, stirs again when she feels something warm on her cheek. Something slimy. Her eyes jolt open, Akamaru stepping back from licking at her face. He barks happily in greeting, Hinata blinking back in puzzlement. It's daylight again, sometime in the afternoon she thinks from gazing at the sun's position. Kiba grunts somewhere to her left. Why the hell are we doing this again and not just carrying on the tower? Besides, don't you have bad blood with? Sakura's stare twists in his direction before he can finish. Iciness lingers in her eyes for her that Hinata meets silently before her attention focuses back to Sasuke. Hinata's gaze moves on to Shino's beetles that have lifted Naruto up, still out cold too. I told you like a million times, this is for Sasuke's sake. Now help me with his arms already. Jiraiya Aoka's bar and grill. He's on his third glass of sake when Takumi plops into the booth opposite him. He's gone for a mousy brown to his hair this time. Blue contacts tinge gray under the heavy smoke in the air. His lips quirk up faintly in a grin, nods over to his waitress to send over 2 more plates of karaage, takoyaki, and edamame. Why do you pick the most sleaziest clubs around to hang out at? The women here barely wear what pass for uniforms. Takumi asks by way of greeting, notes that their waitress Misako's skirt barely covers her butt. Like always, he picked some bubbly blonde to be his personal server for the night. Jiraiya swirls at his cup, chuckles as watches him pick up the menu. Going to be a big spender for once, Takumi. That's not like you. And it's not like one of his best spies to come directly to him with intel either. Takumi rolls his eyes at his blatant ignoring of his question, pulls out a slip of paper after ordering a small bowl of katsudon for himself. I needed to get your attention somehow. I got word there was a chameleon amid the participants of this year's Chunin exams. Quite the vermin they've had trouble catching in the forest of death. Jiraiya straightens himself at his play on words, the way he taps at his paper again before sliding it forward. Skanai roots RN. He unscrambles it quickly. Snake returns. Orochimaru. He moves the message into his ashtray, puts the butt of an old cigarette against it until it smolders and blackens. Takumi leans his head against his palm, waits to speak again as their plates of food appear. Don't go running off now, Jiraiya, before checking out the downstairs gambling den with me. My shift doesn't end until midnight. Misako winks while refilling his glass and passing over a glass of water for Takumi. Jiraiya beams her way. Of course. You don't go running off. You're gonna be my good luck charm tonight. Misako giggles, blows him a kiss before carrying on to her next customers. Takumi sends him a flat look, ensures nobody is listening or gazing in their direction before clearing his throat. But Jiraiya beats him to it. Serpents aren't the easiest to slaughter once they've come upon a target, especially one like him. So, how many are we talking here that got caught in one of his traps? Takumi sighs. Well, last I heard 3 bodies were found. Chameleons blend in with their environment and in this case, took on the facial features of one of his preys. It was a team where the grasslands and rivers intersect, I believe. So 3 people killed from Kusagaker. Potentially more that just haven't been found yet. He rubs at his chin thoughtfully. Orochimaru joined these exams for a reason, curses himself for not studying closer Konoha's participants. He sips at his sake before snapping his fingers. Any mention of the village's weapon and that noble clan's heiress. Takumi wrinkles his nose, drops his voice an octave. Who? Jiraiya laughs dryly, breaks out of code talk. Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga. Takumi rubs at his chin before shaking his head. No, but it seems they survived the second phase from what I heard through the grapevine of those closest to Anko that are helping proctor the exams this year. Jiraiya nods. I doubt those 2 would be of Orochimaru's interest. If he wants to master every jutsu known to man, it would involve needing a specific dojutsu. Like the Sharingan, he makes a mental note to send a toad to Sarutobi to warn him that Sasuke Uchiha could be in danger, though it may already be too late at this point. Takumi leans forward. Please be careful where you walk and who you talk to moving forward over these next coming days. Maybe attend the final matches as a spectator or gambler to blend in to be of help if something happens. I've heard some whisperings that something big is about to happen in the village, maybe an assassination attempt on the Hokage. Nothing confirmed yet, I just wanted to let you know this in person as I'll be heading back out of the village before daybreak. Jiraiya stiffens, courage going cold on his tongue. He wipes at his mouth, nods his understanding of the gravity of this situation. Sure you don't want to settle down here in Konoha? Start a family and kids? Jiraiya asks half-jokingly. He wouldn't be exactly happy to lose him considering the wealth of knowledge he's given him on Iwa and Kumo's top shinobi in the past, but he doesn't want to hold him back from any true desires he might have. Being a spy can be a lonely job. Takumi laughs humorlessly and he sees a flash of pain flicker in his eyes of an old lost love. He was dating a woman in the business of weapons intel from a smaller village near Konoha, he recalls from his profile. That was right before he had him join his squad of most elite spies. Those blissful days ended in the last Great War. Takumi stretches back out of the booth, drops down a wad of Ryo for his meal and drink. Men like us Jiraiya aren't ever going to truly settle down. Neji, Team Guy's Central Tower. Still not here yet. Neji regards. Team 7 and Team 8 are certainly cutting it close. His eyes skirt back to the overhead clock. There's only 2 hours left until the 5 days are officially up, Lee tapping at his shoulder. Don't worry Neji, I'm sure your cousin and her team are going to make it in time. I saw the fire of youth in her when she had first waved to us. Fire like that isn't easily extinguished. Tenten rolls her eyes, though a grin edges at her lips. I don't think fire is going to be enough if you can't get both scrolls and make it here in time, Lee. Though she cuts herself off at seeing a glimpse of orange from the corner of her eye. Naruto has arrived, Hinata's hand tangled with his. Sasuke rounds them out with Team 8 right on his heel. Her smile falters at the blood that coats Team 7 mostly. It's dried some from a mix of sunlight and water used to wash it out, but there's no mistaking that maroon coloring that stains their jackets and pants. Neji's gaze passes over them all, lingers longest on Sasuke as Kakashi-sensei mutters something near his ear. He nods in return, rubbing at his neck with a sigh before lining up with the rest of his team. Lee points at them eagerly. See, there was no need for you to worry at all, Neji. And the lovely Sakura made it in time as well with her team. I must go check on my beautiful flower to ensure she's okay. I wasn't worried. Neji counters flatly even though Lee has already departed to check on Sakura, Hinata glancing at him over her shoulder. This time she doesn't smile or wave, simply watches him with the same level of frostiness he always gives her. Good. Maybe it's finally sunk in the difference in skill between them no matter how much she's trained with her teammates. Her speed and power won't be enough compared to him. Naruto follows her gaze and looks over at him as well, and Neji frowns at the flicker of scarlet amid the blue of his eyes. Strange. A knot wedges in his stomach, he swallows down. There's nothing for him to be concerned about when it comes to this year's dead last, but his fingers prickle just slightly from the intensity of his glare. He's a lot friendlier with Hinata than the way Uncle described it. He'd assumed he was merely just exaggerating again his concerns over how close the two have gotten. But that look Naruto just gave him is one he's sure he's done to Hinata dozens of times before. The desire to hurt, to kill. Do either of them honestly think they could win against me? Neji scoffs under his breath, especially when Hinata is the first to look away as usual from his stare. A chime rings out overhead, and he puts it out of his mind, Hayate clearing his throat at the front along with the rest of their Jonin-sensei. Congratulations on everyone here officially making it to Phase 3 of this year's Chunin exams. In light of the fact that there's still quite a few of you left, we will now conduct a tournament style of one-on-one matches to determine who best qualifies to be promoted to Chunin. Keep in mind that even if you lose your match, the techniques, battle prowess, and thought process you use may still allow you to go up in rank. He points then up to a giant monitor above them. This monitor will randomly show who you'll be facing. Everyone else will wait above in the stands until it's their turn or their match is completed. Neji peers up along with the others as the first match is decided. Kiba vs Naruto. Naruto's expression brightens eagerly, he can get his match out of the way already, Hinata lightly kissing him good luck on the cheek before heading upstairs with the others. She passes him on the way up, grin still playing at her lips. And despite telling himself he'd ignore her unless necessary, Neji speaks up. I'm not sure why you're smiling so much when your boy toy is about to lose and embarrass himself in front of everyone after talking such a big game. I'm not sure what they ran into or did back in the forest, but that won't change the outcome of what happens now that Naruto has to fight alone without his teammates. He isn't the only one who thinks this. Team 10, the rest of Team 8, and the Sand siblings look as equally bored at a match that will be over in a few minutes knowing the Inuzuka clan's speed. Hinata glances to him, opalescent softening in pity. She gives him the same stare from earlier, tone light and airy. Is that what you really think? Shame. And then she continues on to wait beside Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei. Neji grits his teeth, presses his lips into a thin line. His knuckles have whitened from wounding them into fists, forces his gaze to Naruto and Kiba below. Kiba cracks his knuckles excitedly. Hey, just because Akamaru and I helped you some back in the forest doesn't mean we're gonna go easy on you. Naruto readily agrees. Of course, I'm saving going all out on someone else if need be, you know. His gaze moves to him for a second before back on Kiba as Hayate announces for them to get into position. Begin. Lee says something to his right of Naruto's fiery look, only half hears him. Naruto's going to be knocked out in the very first round, there's nothing to worry about. Hinata and Neji Central Tower main arena. At the 6th round of matchups, her name is finally called. Versus Neji. She expected this, knew despite all of Kakashi-sensei's flowery language and Lord Third's mention that these matchups are completely random, that she would have to face Neji. Two Hyuga can't be going to the finals. And neither of them will be if she's forced to use her final gambit. Neji rolls his neck as they both walk down to the center. There's still time for you to forfeit. Don't bring any further shame to the main family. Hinata blinks. Why would I do that? She smiles before he can answer. You saw what Naruto did to Kiba, right? You weren't dozing off or not paying attention. He clicks his tongue. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The arena floor floods with Naruto's, wind whipped up into mini twisters on all sides of Kiba from his earlier vortex. Don't think Akamaru and I can't sniff out the real you amongst your clones. Kiba yells out, preparing another fang over fang only for his legs to be stuck in place. Two Narutos have pinned his legs down while another has already kicked Akamaru aside. Shit, when did they sneak up on Akamaru? Did one of them turn themselves into him? Use all this dust as a cover. Can't do your fang over fang alone, can you? Or stuck like this. The first and second clones taunt him. Get off of me. Kiba snaps out, tries to twist his body only to see the original Naruto approaching too late to avoid. His fist collides with his cheek, body toppling as he gets overwhelmed by the rest of his clones. It's only because of Naruto's stamina that he outlasted Kiba. He won't win in the finals, and you will lose to me here and now. Neji voices. Hinata frowns, readies herself into an offensive stance. So she isn't going to give up then. Neji sighs. He smirks, follows her into position as Hayate raises up a hand. I know how to counter all that lightning and fire you like to add to your gentle fist. He states mockingly by her ear, pierces at her left arm. Earth release, boulder strike. The jab feels twice as hard as normal, Hinata wincing. Still, she twists before he can fully shut down her left side. Fire release, flame veil. A wall of heat stops him from coming in too close, Hinata ducking low, striking at his legs. She only manages to hit his left knee and side, Neji spinning matching her pace. Too slow. He sneers in spite of his balance slightly off now. I need to end this. Now. He draws up a hand unleashing a tidal wave, barrier of fire bursting into steam. He rushes in up close to her, drills and jabs at Hinata's arms, shutting off as many points as he can before she maneuvers in kicking him back. Her breathing is loud as he takes her in, blood lining her lips. Hayate studies her closely too, Hinata shaking her head for him not to call the match just yet. Neji snorts, nods to the bruises that dot her arms and hands. You will not win this match against me, Hinata, with so many of your Tenketsu points blocked, give up. No, I'm sorry Uncle Hazashi died. I suggest you finally speak with father and end this unwarranted anger at me. But first, I must remind you of something. Hinata warbles out shakily. Pearl eyes study him, calm and unblinking. She grins softly, blood dripping down onto her teeth as she raises up her hand. And it clicks in then as he rushes for her that no matter if they faced each other or not, no matter if he beat her down, she would always remind him of his curse seal. You lost, I won't let you use it. I'll kill you first. Neji shouts. The seal glows green and he drops to the floor midway for her as their Jonin-sensei close in around them, stopping him. White-hot heat jolts and shoots across his body as he doubles over, clutching at his head. He grinds his teeth hard enough to hear them crack, veins pulsing out. Hinata hovers above him, about to collapse too, sees her smile widening before he succumbs to darkness first. Neji, how silly of you. What made you think I would let you get to the finals? Hinata and Neji Konoha Hospital, Medical, Surgical Unit. Apology not accepted. You can go now. One of the first things Hinata says to him upon recovering from surgery are for him to leave her room. Naruto dozes beside her and he shifts himself from foot to foot. He took a risk in coming here, mainly running on the hope that by nightfall, it would hopefully be less crowded and she would hear him out. Unlike Hinata in her current state, Naruto can and will force him to leave if pushes her patience too far. I'm sorry again, uncle gave me my father's letter. I know. I assumed he would, seeing as he must know you tried to kill me by now. Hinata calmly cuts him off. Her heartbeat spikes up, shutting her eyes. She takes in a few gulps of air, letting her breathing even out again before reopening them. Get out. I'll call for every nurse and doctor on the unit. I'll say you're trying to harm me again. Hinata hisses. The threat carries the potential for a worse punishment than the curse seal being activated again. Hiyashi said this would happen, still he wanted to come by. His words rattle in the back of his mind like stones. The reason for his anger truly was misplaced. I should have given you this a long time ago. Hiyashi mutters by way of greeting when he awakens. An envelope lays folded in his lap, fingers wound to hide his shaking. Uncle has never bowed before him. The elders would consider this improper no matter how much prowess he's shown in the clan's abilities with the Byakugan. No matter how much he deferred to the main family despite his simmering rage. You don't hide your anger well at all, Neji, improve that. Hiyashi had advised right before he left for the exams. He ignored his advice and so now he's suffering the consequences. The pain in his head has dulled to a slower throb, turns his head away from the fluorescent lights above to outside. He tastes a mix of saline and bile in his mouth, bruises and thin cuts wrapped with gauze along his arms. Alive. I'm alive. Neji marvels. The way Hinata hovered over him, bloody smile and all, he assumed she would only release the seal when she saw one of his blood vessels pop. It's somewhere early in the day, sunlight only a faint streak of orange on the horizon. How many days has it been? He murmurs out. Hiyashi follows his gaze, nightbirds and fireflies still slipping through the dark. This is the start of day 3. The preliminaries are over with the finals due to be held in a month. I'm sorry, they voted your match against Hinata as a double knockout. Neji sits up slowly, ignores a slice of pain to his ribs from when he was tackled. What is this? He questions as he accepts the envelope. Hiyashi swallows, finally looks at him properly. Your father's final letter for you. Time and again Hinata wanted me to give it to you, though I felt it better to wait until you came of age. Forgive me, the time to give you this was at least a year ago when you officially became a part of a genin team under Guy. Neji shakes his head, breaks open the envelope allowing a worn letter to fall out. The paper has turned a yellowish gray with time, but the ink lettering is clear. Neji, you've grown so much, son, that my brother must feel it ready now for you to read my last words for you. Please don't be mad at my brother or the main family. I am going to my death knowing I chose to die, not a decision made for me by the main branch. Hiyashi was given an impossible choice and I stepped in for him. I'm sorry you only saw the resentment I carried around and not enough of the love I had too. Neji reads. He reviews it twice more. Hisashi harbored some of the same feelings he has always had himself. But there was no force in his choice to be Hiyashi's replacement for Kumo. He never blamed him, grandfather, or the elders. Because he made his choice out of love for his brother more than the clan. He continues reading on. I had freedom to choose my own fate in the end. I apologize again for only showing you bitterness in life, Neji. Don't make those same mistakes. A great shinobi doesn't let themselves be held back by where they were born or to which family. I've seen for myself what great things you can and will do despite being in Hyuga's branch family, continue to show that genius, talent and progress. Hisashi. Neji settles back against his pillows. I need to apologize to Lady Hinata. Hiyashi blows out of breath and Neji truly notes then the dark baggage beneath his eyes. She won't accept it and now isn't a good time. She is still in cardiac unit recovering. It's not necessarily a surprise Hinata easily dismisses him. Despite her pearl eyes hazy with lingering exhaustion, heart monitor attached to her beeping at her sitting up, she said those words with a smile. I know you're not deaf. Please leave, you can't force me to forgive you. Hinata states again, voice an octave louder. Neji stays in place by the door. While that is true, I came to truly apologize for my prior actions. Hinata AMD check in on you. But I also came to ask, why have you been having so many journalists and media by your bedside too? Hinata blinks, shoulders dropping. To help destroy the clan silly. She goes on at his silence, gaze roaming towards outside, towards the compound. For too long much of Konoha's civilians and shinobi alike have turned a blind eye to or been ignorant of what goes on in one of Konoha's oldest and strongest clans. A smile slowly dances at her lips. Now our clan's dirty laundry has started to be made public no matter what the elders may try to do via damage control. The best way to start that was give interviews with a spotlight on your actions towards me before our fateful match. It will begin the process of there no longer being a main and branch families with any luck in the coming years. I want a better future for our clan so that the next generations don't experience what we went through. She presses her thumb against her call light before Neji can ask her anything else, her nurse Ayaka rushing in a moment later. Is everything alright in here? Ayaka moves past Neji to check Hinata's IV lines and monitor. Hinata shakes her head, tears pricking at her eyes. Her movement and noise get Naruto's attention too, eyes blearily opening. Hinata, what's wrong? He sits up, rolls his neck from the awkward sleeping position. She squeezes at Naruto's hand, points with the opposite one to Neji, lips contorting into a pout. He won't leave. What should we do? I don't know what else he wants. Naruto jolts from his chair seeing Neji, vermilion seeping into azure. He cocks his head in confusion. Why are you here? Ayaka glances back at Neji too, hazel eyes dark in confusion. I'm sorry, visiting hours ended at 9 p.m. and we're only limiting one guest to each patient. She looks him up and down as recognition sinks in, brows furrowing. A flash of disgust runs across her eyes. His face has probably been splashed all over Konoha today's news. The boy who tried to kill his cousin in this year's Chunin exams. Neji looks past them both at Hinata's casual smile, the shooing motion of her hands beneath the blanket out of sight. The curse seal was just the start. He realizes. Now she wants his reputation. Apologizing would never satisfy Hinata. At least not right now with the exams only just a few days behind them, not when he has hurt her for years. Jiraiya Club Kuroyuri. Can't believe he won. I lost a whole 2 weeks worth of Ryo betting against that Jinchuriki boy. Kazuaki grunts into his sake glass. The same variation of conversation he's been hearing all night throughout the clubs and gambling dens of the red light district. Naruto Uzumaki is going on to the finals. He grins into his own sake cup. He won double the Ryo he put in on a whim for the kid to win. He's certainly a wildcard. More people are seeing they shouldn't have counted him out. Jiraiya considers. But in the coming month, he's definitely going to need some type of trainer. Naruto's remaining competitors are ones with either a higher intellect, strategic prowess than him like Shikamaru Nara or Shino Aburame. And then there's the dangerous mysterious powerhouses like Gaara and his siblings Kankuro and Tamari. I should see if he's truly like father like son. Jiraiya crosses his arms, puts down his cup to take a bite of his courage. Misako passes by him taking him out of his thoughts, winks drawing out a scrap piece of paper from between her breasts. Hey stranger, now what brings you to this club? I hope you're not standing me up for girls at other gentlemen dens. She huffs, weaves the bit of intel between her fingers. Jiraiya feigns a wounded look, clutches at his chest. Misako, I'd travel a 1,000 seas just to see your pretty face. To dine in your presence. But alas, I can't afford Aokazi's prices every week. Misako giggles, flicks the paper over. She brushes a lock from her face, smile dropping. You're a real Casanova Jiraiya. Be careful that doesn't cross the wrong guy or gal one day. She saunters away, Jiraiya settling back against his seat, holds the paper up to the end of his pipe until the letters and numbers appear. SNIA Post-it 9-14 NOKOAH. He lets the paper blacken and crumple to ash. Another confirmation. Snake spotted in Konoha. He met with Anko and Hiruzen yesterday, but outside of the Forest of Death incident, nobody has seen Orochimaru again. Jiraiya rubs at his head. What exactly are you playing at here Orochimaru? He downs the rest of his glass and puts down a wad of Ryo. His feet take him towards the hot springs district. I'll get in some research and then decide from there what to do next. Nearby is the observatory tower used often by space enthusiasts and painters. Combined, he'll hopefully get some new ideas for his current story plus get a bird's eye view where the kid likes to hang out in the village. Naruto and Hinata Konoha Hospital entrance Jiraiya and Ebisu Hot Springs District. I'm going to train Sasuke for the finals. Kakashi mentions while helping fold and pack the last of Hinata's blankets and get well soon cards gifts. Naruto deflates, stops mid-fold of a towel, bites his tongue not to shout while Hinata sends him a look. You didn't have to announce that at my discharge from the hospital. Kakashi ignores her frown, looks over at Naruto. It's better I tell you this now Naruto than delay it. He stomps down a foot feeling his anger bubble up, grits his teeth. Why Sasuke? Can't you just train us together you know? Or alternate using clones with us? Kakashi shakes his head, bows in apology to a nurse that pokes her head in. Sasuke is set to face Gaara. There's nothing in his arsenal he can do against him unless I teach him the Chidori. He waves up a hand to placate him. Now, I didn't forget about you Naruto, I assigned you to the respectable Jonin Ebisu. He specializes in training elite shinobi and those from noble families. Naruto crosses his arms. That guy's been knocked out by my sexy jutsu before you know. Hinata turns to look at Kakashi fully. Ebisu the closet pervert. That Ebisu. Kakashi shrugs. You think I'm a pervert too and yet you switched to be on my team. Hinata purses her lips. At least you don't act on it unlike how I've heard with him. But truthfully, she can't think of any other last-minute mentors for Naruto. Naruto could use better chakra control along with measures against any potential genjutsu and long-range attackers. They finish packing in silence, day at least sunny and windy. It's fine. Let's celebrate my discharge at Ichiraku's and then you can start training with Ebisu. Hinata suggests. Naruto brightens some as Hinata loops their arms together. Alright, you're not gonna out-eat me this time. She thanks Kakashi for his help, meets Ko at the hospital's entrance to take her belongings back to the manor. Ichiraku's is crowded more than usual with visitors from across the nations choosing to stick around for the finals. Ayame yells out orders in a flurry, Tyuki managing to write them all down between tossing sets of noodles and spices in the air. There's 2 open seats near the front. Naruto points. Hinata gives follow, doesn't miss the way a patron to Naruto's left scowls and groans at his arrival. Kid lost me Ryo and now has come to spoil my appetite too. He mutters. She knocks a soy sauce bottle right into his sake cup and wonton ramen bowl as they pass him, jabs at his arm when he attempts to stand. Hinata bows apologetically. Sorry, it's very crowded in here. You're lucky it wasn't your pants just for gazing Naruto's way in disgust. His companion shakes his head as Hinata moves on. It's not worth it to get entangled with what the Hyuga clan and she can do to you career and public-wise. Ah congrats Naruto. Dad and I heard the news your way to Chunin. And Hinata, so sorry to hear about your family troubles. What can we get for you too? The usual. Ayame chimes out in greeting. Hinata points to the new large bowls Tyuki has added to the menu since they've last been by. Thank you Ayame. I haven't had a truly filling meal since being discharged from the hospital, so I'll start off with 2 large bowls of miso and tonkatsu ramen. Naruto hums. I'll do the same as Hinata but add a large bowl of shoyu ramen for me as well. Wanna see how it compares to my favorites you know. Hinata giggles. Alright, I'll pay for the shoyu bowl and the tonkatsu ones. Naruto waves up a hand catching Tyuki's eye. Gentlemen, I gotta show Hinata I'm a good boyfriend. Ah, no. We don't always have to split the costs this time you know. Besides, this is to celebrate your recovery and me getting to the finals. I got us covered. Naruto puffs up himself proudly and Hinata's smile widens, reddens at the roguish grin sent her way. Clack. The pair turn towards outside at the noise, a curtain of brown dust just outside the stall. Stop this inappropriate behavior. A man on his left adjusts his sunglasses, Naruto stepping forward for a closer look. Ebisu. He points a finger straight ahead towards a man he doesn't recognize, spiky long white hair keeping the man back. Whoa now. No need to create such commotion or follow me around. I was just helping pick up that woman's wallet that she dropped. Ebisu scoffs. No, you were going to peek up her skirt in the process. I've heard about your deviant behavior Jiraiya. Jiraiya rolls his eyes, snaps his fingers causing a toad to crash onto him. Nah. You got the wrong guy. And I don't think I'll stick around with all this noise you're making. Bye. He hops away in a flurry of wind, Naruto gawking in awe. Hinata watches him go, nails forming crescents in her palms. I've seen that man before during my research into Kakashi-sensei and Naruto's family. The man who trained Naruto's father, the Toad Sannin Jiraiya. Her stomach twists. Jiraiya is well known for his strength, intelligence, spying, and perversions. Perversions Naruto could get caught up in. Her nails start to dig and peel at her skin, calming her rising pulse. I won't have him trying to get Naruto anywhere near the red light district or looking at other girls. Knowing him, he'll try and disguise it as training, or something similar. Naruto nudges at her shoulder and she can't help but smile some at his starstruck look. Did you see the way he just took out Ebisu? Forget having him train me for the finals, I gotta go ask that Jiraiya guy. He claps his hands at a sudden thought. Come with me too after we finish eating just in case we have to persuade him together. Hinata feels her smile begin to frost at the very idea, forces it to stay in place. Naruto taps at her cheek. What's wrong? There's no better trainer around than a Sannin. He's stronger than even Kakashi-sensei. Still, her stomach churns, feels the coming of a storm. I'm nervous to meet him. Hinata half lies. Naruto blinks before grinning, taps their foreheads together gently. Don't worry, I'm not gonna let him look or do anything weird to you. It's not me I'm worried we'll have to do weird things. Hinata nods slowly as they head back inside. Of course. Naruto, Hinata, and Jiraiya Konoha Observatory Tower. So the kiddos came to me. Jiraiya hums to himself, sits up seeing orange come into view from the corner of his eye. Followed by a tan jacket and violet locks. Not a surprise his girlfriend has tagged along too. Good. All those horrible accusations Ebisu lobbed at him in the marketplace shouldn't have been for nothing. It's late evening now, warm honey yellow and orange rays slipping through the trees to the south. The sky has cleared up enough it will be a cloudless night. Perfect for the stargazers. He stretches as he sits himself up, Naruto marching over to him first. You're the Toad Sannin Jiraiya, right? Jiraiya scratches at his chin as he takes him in up close. He really does look exactly like Minato. Depends. Who's asking? Naruto points a thumb at himself. Me, Naruto Uzumaki. Can you be my trainer for the Chunin exam finals? Please. His words tumble over each other in a race to leave his mouth, drops into a deep bow despite Jiraiya's puzzled look to comprehend him. Hinata walks up next to him, smiles gently in a way that almost makes him think everything he read about her was made up. Jiraiya stares at Naruto for a long minute. I dunno kid, I'm a busy man. Impress me and I'll consider it. Naruto straightens himself, blinks. Impress you? How? Jiraiya shrugs lazily waving up a hand in the air. You tell me. I'll give ya an hour to think of something. He falls backward into the grass, Naruto hovering over him. Well, I overheard that you like to apparently peep at girls, so maybe my sexy jutsu will impress you. Jiraiya instantly perks up giddily, Hinata grabbing at Naruto's shoulder just as he raises his hands. Her cheeks burn feeling Jiraiya's stare, clears her throat tugging on a weak smile. Naruto. You shouldn't have to demean yourself. And Naruto pauses, Jiraiya peering between them both. Interesting. He claps his hands getting their attention, feigns a yawn before fishing out a bill from his wallet. Tick-tock kid. If I'm not getting to see this so-called sexy jutsu, then at least go get me a coffee from the observatory's bistro to help wake me up. You can even get a cinnamon roll for your girlie here too, I heard she likes those. Then we can discuss training business. A shiver races down Hinata's back as Jiraiya chuckles. How much has he read up on Naruto and I? Naruto accepts the Ryo without question. Sure, be right back. As soon as he's out of earshot does Jiraiya look back at Hinata. You can drop that saccharine tone with me, especially now that I've seen your mask start to crack. Hinata stares at him a moment, eyes narrowing. Is that right? My sweet tone is just how I normally am unless someone is trying to do wrong by Naruto. And you, being an ordinary pervert, I can't be too sure of your intentions. Jiraiya crosses his arms. Rude. Ordinary. I'll have you know I'm an extraordinary pervert. Hinata scoffs. Are you actually willing to train Naruto? Jiraiya hums, pats the grass beside him. Hinata settles herself opposite him, an arm's length away. I am, but I don't want you interfering. You can't tag along like you did today. Jiraiya voices. Hinata bristles as if stung. Why not? So you can take him to brothels or all those seedy clubs in the red light district. Jiraiya raises up his hands. Whoa now, relax. How old are you guys anyways? Like 12 or 13, right? You act as if you're Naruto's wife and not just his first girlfriend. And last girlfriend. I'm his future wife. He has no need to look at any other woman. Hinata states calmly. A curtain has fallen over her features at the surety of her statement, fog dulling at her white eyes. So this is that malice. Jiraiya leans his head against his palm. Tell me something, why haven't you told the kid you've researched into his past? On the identity of his parents. Hinata purses her lips, considers the out-of-the-blue question. You haven't told him that you're the one who named him. I don't know if you even plan to. So many people knew Minato and Kushina, and yet it's like the village has tried to scrub away all reminders of their existence. I'm waiting for the right moment to tell Naruto when we're not distracted by missions or exams. Jiraiya nods his understanding that they're a bit more alike than he thought, at least in caring for Naruto's well-being, switches gears. So, what happens if I take him to these clubs anyways? Hinata rips out blades of grass. Either Jiraiya is messing with her or he just wants to keep her apart from Naruto. It's reasonable that I don't want to be a distraction to Naruto. But her upset stews like a budding flame, claws its way forward. Every man and woman in Konoha would avoid you with the rumors I could start. She spits out. Jiraiya laughs, douses her anger to ash. Go right ahead. People know me as a pervert and I can just use a transformation jutsu if need be. Hinata clicks her tongue. She can't destroy his public reputation, but she can maybe hit him where it would bother him. His Makeout Paradise novels. Jiraiya waves up a finger, already knows where her thoughts have gone. I'm richer than you think, girly. The Hyuga have a lot of Ryo, yes, but a lot of your clan members are secret customers of mine. That doesn't surprise me. Hinata sighs. But it just means that there's truly nothing she can do to faze Jiraiya. She peeks over at Naruto, now third in the lineup. There's one last thing she can mention. Hinata turns to look at Jiraiya full on. I wonder what Tsunade would think of you acting like this. Jiraiya's smile drops just like she expected. Though with it, onyx tinges darker. Don't push your luck, Hinata. Her heartbeat lurches in her ears, nods. She pockets the subject of the mysterious slug princess who abandoned Konoha years ago. For now. Naruto approaches back up and abruptly, she smears her ripped up grass and dirt to her jacket, swings Jiraiya's hair away as if having just pushed him back. That wasn't very funny joke, Master Jiraiya. Hinata huffs. Master Jiraiya. Jiraiya blinks. What happened? Naruto questions. She crosses her arms against her chest, stands and settles behind Naruto. I thought he was trying to get me to model as one of the girls for his novels. Jiraiya wrinkles his nose in disgust at the very idea, sees a flicker of crimson in Naruto's eyes at believing her. But then he blinks, and it's gone. Naruto turns and pulls gently at Hinata's cheek teasingly instead, whispers near her ear. Oi, play nice with pervy sage for me please, Hinata. You and I both know when you're trying to stir up trouble. We're gonna see him around a lot more often. Jiraiya mildly startles at his tone and moniker for him, realizes Hinata has already poisoned Naruto in a sense. Hinata blows out a breath. Fine. She peers back to Jiraiya, bows sincerely. Apologies that we got off to the wrong foot. I won't interfere, so please agree to train Naruto. Jiraiya accepts his coffee, takes a sip before looking skyward at the moonrise. We both care about Naruto is all. I know some of my jests hit a bit too hard. He bows back too. He nods to them both. All right, remember no interruptions. For the next month, Hinata. That means no coming to the training grounds when we're there. You guys can only get dinner together. And sure thing, kid, I'll train you. However, I still gotta see that sexy jutsu. Hinata moves to stomp on his foot, Jiraiya leaping back with ease. Too slow. Guess you don't want Naruto to be trained by me after all. Naruto pats at Hinata's shoulder before she can retort. It's okay, Hinata, really. He promises with a light kiss to her cheek before stepping forward. A cloud of steam erupts across the terrain, dozens of eyes glancing in their direction. Oh, don't be that way, Jiraiya. Naruto purrs out. Even with his nose bleeding, Jiraiya smugly grins Hinata's way as they get escorted away by security. Keep up your end of the deal. He mouths. Because if she doesn't, he will find a way to remind her of his rules. It's just 1 month, I can do this. Hinata decides. No matter what Jiraiya has in store for Naruto. Thank you for listening. I do hope you guys enjoy. If you guys enjoyed this, what if you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notifications, and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.